Hello, fiends, and welcome to the Monster Party Podcast, now a part of the Fangoria Podcast Network. For more information about the network, including other programs, how to follow the show, and find past episodes of Monster Party, please visit Fangoria.com. And now, it's party time. Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another devilishly entertaining episode of Monster Party.
Monster Party! Monster Party! Monster! Fiendish monster!
Scary, fiendishly devilish
Devilish monsters. I'm feeling kind of devilish.
Yeah, we're tipping things a little bit.
We are.
But before we do the tipping,
Yeah.
I am Matt Weinhold.
I am SHAWN SHERIDAN.
I'm Larry STROTHE.
And I'm James GONIS.
And we got a topic. Ooh, it's scary.
It's going to set you on fire.
It's evil talk.
It's an evil topic.
It's a naughty
It's a hunk of burning evil.
Matt, what is our topic today?
Our topic today is satanic cinema.
Satanic cinema!
Anything.
That's like the big daddy of
Oh,
monsters.
yeah, yeah.
it's-
like
so
the
it's-
first real, I don't know, monster? Like,
Well, it's like it's the monster behind the monster.
the monster behind the monster.
Okay.
Right,
The
yeah,
ultimate
yeah,
It's like the
villain.
Lord of Monsters.
yeah.
So it's devil. It's
Monster
the,
CEO.
The devil or demons.
The devil,
Demons.
Demons.
Yeah.
Some
Possession.
possessed people.
Yes.
Any child.
Yes.
Just anything.
Lord of Darkness.
And who better as a guest to join us?
Well, we have a very, very special guest. We've been trying to get this young woman on the show for a long time now. We're thrilled that she's finally here.
Yeah, she's been waiting for the right topic.
She is a model, a host, a designer, a social media influencer, and Playboy's Miss July 2011. She also has her own podcast on the Podcast One Network. Damn. Jessa Hinton, Anything Goes.
Yeah.
And we are thrilled to have Jessa Hinton on the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure.
You guys got all fancy and decorated the place only for me, I can see.
We only do this. All this
never-
stuff is going to be destroyed after this show.
We never-
As it should be.
we never take stuff out, you know. Yeah.
yeah. Well,
for
let's
having me.
let's get going then.
Satanic cinema.
You know, Jessa, I think that we were in Guayaquil, Ecuador on a Playboy promotion, walking around. I think we were lost in that city. And I was telling you about Monster Party and asking you if you liked horror movies. And you said, well, yeah. And I said, well, what kind do you like? And you said, well, I sort of like devil movies. All right, well, then,
Casual conversation.
Did she have a pitchfork with her by any chance when she was walking around with you there?
well, you know, mental note. Okay, let's get Jessa Hinton on Monster Party and talk about Satan.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I mean, it's not often you get a beautiful woman to come on your show to talk about Satan.
No.
Yeah, my bucket list. Absolutely. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, when you think of Jessa Hinton, you think of demonic possession, correct? Is that what happened? But yes, you were absolutely correct. We were lost, and we were lost for a while, and we didn't speak Spanish, and it was hard to get around, but we did make our way back.
Well, finally, yeah, we
Yes, we
found a
did.
sympathetic cab driver or travel agent or something. But, if only my high school Spanish had retained somehow, but no.
How did nothing? Just was it just sign language or?
The only word I remember is entonces. You know, entonces.
What's that mean?
It means like I don't know. It means like, what does entonces even mean?
Why are you asking me?
Yeah, I know. We were lost. We were
Yeah.
lost.
I didn't take Spanish in high school.
Well, you know, this
It wouldn't mean Satan, would it?
No, because this is great conversation.
El
But
Diablo.
I'd like us to get to Satan.
All right. Well,
And
then you know what we should do.
satanic
Then we should move this over to our guest.
Yes.
Jessa, I'd like to know, do you have a specific film that you like? Old, new,
Or TV?
or
cartoon?
One that comes to mind that's one of your
Or a devil
favorite
toy?
devilish movies.
Yeah.
Or,
Well, actually, thank you for asking. Okay, so I actually wanted to bring up some movies to see if I had seen them. So I looked up Demonic Possession, Satanic Cinema. And the number one movie that's up on that list is actually my favorite movie, and nobody likes it or nobody has seen it, and that is Constantine.
Oh,
you know
I'm
That's
with you.
number one.
I am with you.
With Keanu Reeves?
Yes,
Yeah.
and I don't
Reeves.
like him, but that is number one. And
But that's
I
not
can
a bad-
watch
That is a
Yeah.
good movie.
Yeah.
A lot of
That
people
is a
haven't
really
seen
good
it,
movie.
or when they think of demonic possession, they think of other movies that doesn't even come up in the top 10.
Right.
And when I saw that up there, I'm like, I know I'm doing something right.
That
Like,
is an
that's-
excellent choice.
It is a great
Excellent.
movie.
I love that movie.
That's from 2005.
Yeah,
It is.
and it's got so many elements to it that it's like an action thriller. It's got really
Right.
good scary moments.
The casting was amazing.
yeah,
The-
and
the
even
guy that played
Keanu, I don't really mind. I could have picked a better Constantine,
Okay.
obviously, but he did not annoy me too much in this.
Agreed.
Okay.
When he's in the right role, he's okay.
Okay, yeah. Well, so Constantine, explain to us what the film is about then.
Okay, so basically, good old Keanu. Keanu.
Depends on what day.
I don't care. It depends on what I'm
He is a
drinking.
hermaphrodite, so
No,
it could be both.
No, he's not.
Everybody knows he's a hermaphrodite, Larry.
No, he's not. Why?
All right.
No.
We'll
So-
get him on the show and ask him.
Yeah.
So let's stop talking about his genitals.
yeah.
So basically, he is trying to make his way into heaven. He committed suicide when he was younger. He's trying to make his way back into heaven by doing God's work and killing demons and people that have become possessed. And there are a few elements in there that I love. There's Papa Midnight, and he's the one that keeps the balance between good and evil. Tilda
right.
Swinton plays Gabriel, which is amazing because she looks like she could be a man or a woman.
Yes.
She's one of my favorite
Right.
actresses.
That's really cool.
Shia LaBeouf plays his assistant. What is it? He's trying to learn under him and kind of be what Constantine is.
Right.
Rachel Weisz is her twin sister was possessed and committed suicide, and basically the moral of the film is she's trying to find out what had happened to her sister because she doesn't believe her sister would ever commit suicide. And you have Gavin Rossdale, you have the devil in there, and I can't think of the devil's name who plays him, but he is amazing.
Oh, Sean will know.
I think it's Peter Stromer, I think.
If that's who it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so he is fantastic in it. He has such a
Stormare.
small role in it, but they casted him perfectly. And then Gavin Rossdale plays a demon in that. He came out of nowhere. So yeah, so that's the moral of the story.
Right.
And I think for me, the casting was number one, but the second thing, it made me really question, I guess, committing suicide, like in the Catholic belief and in
Yeah.
other people that are religious. That's just like you cannot be.
No, that's mortal sin.
Immortal sin.
exactly.
It plays on that whole concept of
Right.
which goes back to that whole religious belief. It's right.
Right.
If you commit suicide, if you kill yourself, that's a sin and you're going to hell.
So listeners, just little note
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
You know, there's
Listen
always
up,
help
kids.
out there. There's always help.
Put the knife down.
There.
And this is a character that was created, I think, by Alan Moore in the Swamp Thing.
Alan Moore in the Swamp
In the
Thing
Swamp
comics,
comics.
ended up getting his own comic book called Hellblazer, which ran forever. And then, of course, after that movie, they made the Constantine TV show,
Correct.
which I felt like I wish that Constantine would have been in the Constantine movie.
Oh.
Because I thought he really...
How so? Actor?
Yeah, it's Mark Ryan.
Right.
And I thought he really captured
He was good.
the personality of Constantine in the comic books.
Right.
Now the Constantine show came out after.
Way after.
Okay.
Right.
So I haven't seen it,
Yeah.
but I'd be
It's,
interested.
hit and miss.
Yeah.
But you're saying the actor would have been a better.
The actor is great.
Right.
Because the actor in the comic books, Constantine is this hard drinking bloke. He guy smokes a lot of cigarettes.
Yeah.
He is kind of playing between heaven and hell. And he has kind of a sense of humor because he's seen, like, especially in the comic book, he's seen
Right.
so much violence and horror in his life that he almost has to have this distance between the horrible things that he's dealing with the supernatural world.
Cynicism.
Which Keanu Reeves, you're saying, did not have.
See,
that in
Keanu Reeves,
his-
yeah, Keanu Reeves is great, and Keanu
Yeah.
Reeves, and that's what I like about Constantine. I had been reading the comics up until that point. I
Right.
saw Constantine, and I still loved it because I feel like it captured the flavor of the comic. It's a different film. It's not the same as the comic, but it's still great.
Yeah.
And Keanu Reeves,
he's fine. No,
he's fine. He's fine. I think there could have been a lot of better actors,
Sure.
that they
I
could have
agree.
chosen for that movie.
Well, I think maybe Keanu Reeves helped get it made. You know,
Yeah,
I really do.
Sure,
but
sure.
there are things that he does that I think he's really good. Matrix, I love him in Matrix. you
Matrix
know?
is great, and
You know?
John Wick. Don't even get me started, man.
Yeah,
I'll see every one of those
Okay,
movies.
and maybe he plays like one note. I guess it kind of fits. I mean, his acting just fits whatever. I mean, for the Constantine and Matrix, maybe
Yeah.
not so much in What was that dolphin one? The one with the dolphin.
Dolphin.
Yeah, come on. It's Johnny Mnemonic. I
That was
hate
a
it.
dolphin movie?
There was a dolphin in it. Don't you guys remember the dolphin?
No, I don't. I never saw that movie.
Okay, well, don't say it. And besides, our topic is satanic cinema.
Yes.
I want to stick to the topic.
Was that Free Willy mnemonic?
No, it
Yeah.
wasn't. It wasn't. But still, Constantine.
But in any case,
There's
like I said, they did this TV show.
TV series, yeah.
Mark Ryan as Constantine. He was a great Constantine, more like the comic book, but I would say it almost was too silly and pulled you out of it.
Jess, did you see
Yeah,
the
it was a
TV
little
series?
bit.
No, I haven't.
Okay.
No, I would be interested in seeing it though because I enjoy Constantine so much.
Yeah.
The story behind it. I'd
Right.
be interested in watching the show.
And that story is still there. It's still consistent.
Yeah.
It's just there's a goofiness to it. They're trying to fit it in with all the other DC superhero shows like Arrow and
Yeah,
Flash.
Flash,
So it
yeah.
almost has to be a little too light, and they're a little too many standalone episodes where it's
Right,
like,
right.
okay, well, we wrapped up this demon
Yeah.
escapade. Let's
It was kind of like Demon of the Week.
right,
in a way.
yeah. It really was.
Right.
But
Well, I have a question. Did Constantine do well when it came out? Because I just remember seeing it, a few years ago and then watching it ever since. But was it kind of an underrated movie or was
think
it
it was.
big at the
I think
time?
it-
Yeah, I don't
think it was
think
one of
it
these.
I don't
huge,
remember
though.
it being big.
But I think it was
Right.
one of these things with legs because I mean, for them to go and do a TV series, they must have thought, hey, there is an audience out there for it.
I think
Although-
it's what they used to call a sleeper.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the character is great. It's
hey,
a great character.
Thank you, old Hollywood guy. Thank you. It wasn't
my day.
Shia LaBeouf was in that though.
Yeah,
It's-
he's good.
You're a fan.
He's good in
I
everything.
am.
We're gonna have him on the show sometime.
Not a fan. No, we're never going to have him on the show.
I will-
He's.
I will get him on the show.
No, we hear he's difficult to work with.
That's okay.
and,
Not
you
with
know-
us.
No. Oh, really?
No.
Oh, really?
I don't think he's doing anything these days. Maybe we can get him on.
No,
Yeah.
no. We're going to be busy.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jeez.
There's no way it could go wrong with us because everything works perfectly on this show.
Jeez.
Yeah. If you're listening, Mr. Shia LaBeouf. No,
Larry
he's not
says
going
no.
to. No.
Okay,
I
so
said
who's
no.
next? Somebody got something?
look, Satanic Cinema. You can't get into it without talking about the granddaddy of satanic
Here it comes.
movies, The Exorcist.
The Exorcist.
Never heard of it.
1973. Sean.
Right.
Hello.
Classic.
William Friedkin, at the height of his talent, great director at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And a novel by William Peter Blatty that was a bestseller,
Yeah.
adapted almost right away. Mm-hmm. Hit a nerve with the American public because
yeah.
People freaked out on that movie.
Oh, my God.
People would run screaming from the theater.
Yeah, there's so many great stories about that, Matt. And I think there's a great documentary on the making of The Exorcist that I think it comes with the latest DVD of The Exorcist, which goes into that.
Plus, there was a director's cut with
Yeah.
deleted scenes. There's a whole fascination with the making of the movie, with the history of it.
Based on a supposed true story.
Yes.
Yeah, well, it brought the whole idea of demonic possession and exorcisms. It became like a pop culture thing.
Right.
You know, nobody really had ever
No.
heard of that before.
If you
Not
think-
It's true.
If you think about it, Sean, up until that point, if there was a devil that went in someone, it wasn't quite the same. This was like the ultimate possession film.
Right.
Oh, yeah. And it really pushed the envelope in a way that nothing else had at the time, especially not coming from a major studio, a major release.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you think, can you imagine the pitch session? So there's this big novel, and so it's about this girl, this little cute girl gets possessed by the devil, and I still stand by this, James. I think this film would not have been made if it wasn't from Friedkin. I know that the studio, they wanted other directors to direct it, but at the time, Friedkin had just won his Academy Award for French Connection. I mean, he was at the pinnacle of his popularity.
Right.
And the funny thing is, here's this guy. He's like really brilliant guy, but he also has a bit of an anger issue. God, I love this guy. He has a bit of an anger issue. And he
Sound
has-
familiar?
No. He's brilliant, Matt. He's brilliant.
Yes,
and
he
he
is.
did some unorthodox things on the set.
there was
And
a
still
couple-
to this day.
Yeah.
Well, there's the thing about the firing the gun, right? I think there's a scene where he was trying to get this actor, I think playing one of the priests, not Jason Miller, but there's one of the other priests' characters to be kind of like shocked, by something, and he wasn't getting the performance out of him. So right before the take started, he fired like a blank.
No, that's true.
He fired a
No,
gun right by the guy's ear or
I think
something.
that was at the very end where he's leaning over Father Karras after
Right.
having fallen down the stairs,
Right.
and he needs him to cry.
Right. And so he fires a gun.
No.
And they always say that this set was cursed and all this
Well,
kind
okay.
of stuff, which I wonder if it was cursed by Friedkin.
No. Now look. Now for our listeners out there who don't know what The Exorcist Exorcist
Oh,
is
come on.
about.
Are you kidding me?
No. There might be people out there. No, see,
Can we do it in a sentence? A girl
Matt,
is possessed.
Okay,
now.
no. See, here's where you're wrong.
Priests try to make him not possessed.
Here's where you're wrong, and I'll tell you why. So, Matt, that's what everyone thinks. Everyone thinks, it's like, I've seen clips of The Exorcist. I know it's about Linda Blair. Blah blah blah. It's more than.
It's not about Linda Blair.
No. It's about more. It's more than one story, Matt. It's more than one story.
It's layered, and that's the great thing about it.
Yes, it is.
Yes,
it's true.
layered.
It's also about the priests, the relationship with the priests, the backstory. Lieutenant Kinderman is a great character.
It's about Ellen Burstyn's character watching her daughter like losing her daughter.
Something is happening to her daughter, and she doesn't know. And Sean, one of some of the scary scenes too. It's when so what do you do if you have a kid and things don't seem to be right, and she's acting out strangely or whatever, or the bed's moving. What's causing that? Or whatever. Okay, something's going on in her mind, and you take her to the doctors, and the doctors who are all kind of snotty and kind of like, of course we know what's wrong, and they do these tests after test
all
after
very
test.
Cold, kind of calculating.
Yes, and then they find out nothing's wrong with her. You know what I'm talking about, Jessa?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, nothing's wrong.
They even prescribe Ritalin.
Yeah, that's right. Ritalин's in there. Yeah,
they even use Bon-Ami.
No, they don't use Bon-Ami. But it's like after going through all these tests, and there's this great scene where she's in this doctor's office, and there's remember, James, there's about 10 or 15 doctors all around the table.
Yeah.
And the mother goes, so what you guys are telling me is you can't really find out what is wrong with my daughter? And then the realization, one of the doctors kind of throws this out. It's like, well, maybe psychological. Well, do you guys practice religion? Well, there's a chance that the Catholics have this thing called exorcism, and maybe it's kind of like you laugh.
Sounds like
at
a great doctor.
No, Matt, it's psychology, man. He's psychology, and he says, look. Sometimes if someone is really religious, the belief that you're
it's like
being
a psychosomatic.
Exactly.
But but the thing is about The Exorcist is that even though it's known today for all its shock value and its over the top sequences, I really like all the subtle stuff. I love the build up.
Yeah.
In that movie, just the strange scratchings in the ceilings, and they go up in the attic, and there's nothing there, and the shot of just like Reagan in bed opening her eyes, and she just looks disturbed, like you don't know what it is, and it's all the little weird subtle stuff that I really appreciate.
Like when she brings down the bed covers and you see "Help Me" written on her.
Yeah. Well, even before that,
these are the shocking things. But the other thing too is then when she
costumes.
No, Matt, come
Set
on,
design.
No, seriously. Yes, it's got great. Actually, you go through the list,
The
guys.
wigs.
Editing,
Alone.
make everything, guys.
Yeah,
everything
no,
within this film. But Sean, what I loved about this is it's not just about them, but also you have this priest, this Father Karras, who's actually he comes to the realization he's having problems with his own faith.
Right, exactly.
This is a really powerful moment in the film.
Yeah.
And then when he meets, and then when the mother says, when she meets him and says, "Could you please check on my daughter? I believe she's possessed." And he's like, "Ma'am, that's ridiculous. I'd have to put you in a time machine, go back and say there's no such thing." And so then he goes to meet her, and although
she's possessed.
No, Matt, that's what's so great. All the criteria that happens within the room, to him, he thinks he can explain it psychologically, but it meets all the criteria for the church. So there's a second part of the story, and then you've got the third story.
Well, Father Merrin comes in and he believes all of this because
All of
he's
it.
had firsthand experience
Years ago.
Yeah.
And so here you have. So here you guys have. This is so great.
And that just kicks ass.
Totally kicks ass. So you've got this great old priest who believes in this to the all the way to the hill. Yeah. And he gets in this room along with this other priest who has issues with his own faith. And when they come together to kind of take this demon out of this poor girl, it's not until this moment, Matt, when you actually realize, and this is how long Freakin stretches it out, all these funky things happen, which can kind of be explained. But when you get to the certain part, it's like there can be no doubt that this is a possession. It's a great film.
It is a great film.
So well done. And
I do love the idea that, I know that this is a demon possession, and okay, we were wrong about Galileo, but I'm sure about this.
No. See,
well, no. That's another thing too, though, that the Catholic Church could actually sort of hold it up and justify it as being pro-Catholic faith.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, the funny thing at the time, though, this was not something that they were very proud of, and actually, there was a lot of protests. So there was
it took a little while, but then they did warm up.
They did.
I have a funny story. This is really funny. So the film came.
Better be funny.
Okay, maybe it's not funny to you, but Jessa might get a kick out of it. So back in 1973, okay, the film comes out, and there's a very famous piece of music in The Exorcist. It's very recognizable.
Tubular Bells.
Tubular Bells by Mike Oldfield.
Yes, Tubular Bells. And what happened is they would play this on the radio. Why? It's like popular, whatever the top 40 or 50s. All of a sudden, that would start playing because it was popular, huge hit. Okay,
it wasn't made for the movie.
No. But
it's for a Jell-O commercial.
It wasn't for a Jell-O commercial.
Actually, there was a score commissioned by for Lalo Schifrin, who had done the Mission Impossible score, but then it was kicked out. Friedkin didn't.
Yeah, because it was
yeah.
Exorcist, Exorcist,
But maybe if I could finish my story. So,
all right, this is where it gets funny, Jessica.
So no. So my older brother, he knows who he is out there. He would have the radio.
I'm sure your older brother knows who he is. Okay, go ahead.
But he would have the radio on when we would all go to bed. And I'm from a large family, so there's like 5 boys sleeping in the beds in the room. And the radio would be on. And the oldest one had to have the radio on, okay? So the top music would play. But when the tubular bell things came on, he had to turn it off. I remember thinking, well, why are you turning that off? Oh, that sounds pretty cool. No, okay, we can't listen to that. It's bad because we all went to a private school. My whole family went to private school, and I remember asking my second oldest brother about this Exorcist. What is that? And he's like, oh, Larry, don't say that. Don't even say that word. I go, why? Mom and Dad will like spank you. Wash your mouth out with soap. I couldn't say the word exorcist. I couldn't acknowledge it. I could not acknowledge it in my house. And of course, they laugh at me now. You know, like, hey guys, remember that?
Here's what I'd like to know. Though.
Okay,
I'd like to know what you think, Jessa, of The Exorcist. You have seen it, yes?
Yes, I have. For me, and back when I saw it when I was a kid, I didn't understand
the word.
Yeah, we've talked about my parents.
That's right. You saw Hellraiser as a kid.
Correct. My first
Your parents
movie.
are very liberal parents.
The thing that I couldn't justify or couldn't explain what I liked about it the most, but now that I'm an adult, the chemistry between the characters was very believable. And I think nowadays we see a movie and that can make or break a movie, and they have all the right tools of becoming, a successful hit. And then there's just no connection, especially love stories are just like, no, I just didn't feel it.
Right.
But with the priest and the daughter, and then with the mother and the daughter.
And the priest and the priest.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like the chemistry between each character with each other made it so powerful for me because that you believe everything because of that. So that was the number one
Ellen
thing.
Burstyn in that movie is just
class actress.
You just feel for her. She's trying to hold it together, and just everything's falling apart. Also, Lee J. Cobb as the kind of Columbo-esque detective.
That was one of
is great, kind of playful, but also like trying to find out what the fuck's going on.
This is a guy who was in On the Waterfront, 12 Angry Men.
Yeah,
this is
all great satanic films.
No. This is not his last one. It was one of his last ones, but he is so great in that movie.
Freaking put together. He really did. He put together a cast that is just top rate.
And let's be honest, in lesser hands, it could be really silly.
Oh, totally.
You'd have not worked.
Yeah.
Matt, totally. There are so many, and the funny thing about it is, my understanding is originally it was scheduled for something like 80 or 90 days for the shoot, and freaking because of who he was, it went into something like over 200 and something days.
Yeah.
I mean, he really, for the details, to try to make this as realistic and as authentic as he possibly could. Oh, another neat story. There's a very famous scene that happens outside the house by the long steps. That's
the Hitchcock steps.
No, it's not called the Hitchcock steps, though.
Really?
It's called the Exorcist steps.
Now it's called the Exorcist. I think
it's always
really.
No, it's always been called the Exorcist steps.
Okay, I gotta Google it.
So this was in it's in Georgetown. Okay, so I actually
it's in Jamestown.
No, it's in Georgetown, and I actually got to go there.
I've been there too.
Okay,
I took a picture.
So did I? Oh my god!
I haven't been there.
Okay. Okay. Well, okay. No. Were you there at night?
No.
Okay. So here's
I was there at brunch.
So here's the thing. There's like college town. Okay, and I went there with a friend, and I remember we went up. I wanted to go to the Exorcist steps. Yeah. I was dying to go to the Exorcist steps.
You just wanted to roll down the steps.
No, Sean. It's dangerous, man. It is dangerous. And
they're cursed steps.
And the funny thing is, there's a sequence that happens from a window to the steps, and it looks like the steps are right next to the window. That's not the case.
No, they cheated it.
Yes, they did. Yeah. The house. Yes, Sean. I hate to break it to you. The house is actually like 20 or 30 feet from the steps. Yeah. So, but actually, when I went there and I saw them, I went, "Hey, what? Did they move the house?" I wasn't sure about that, but I go to the top of the steps, and it was about 12 o'clock at night, and I was there with my friend, and it was dead quiet, and I'm looking down the steps, and I said, "Oh my gosh, this is where it happened." And all of a sudden, wouldn't you know,
There's the devil.
No. About 6
What are the
college
odds?
Linda Blair.
All right.
Hi.
Yeah, you're right.
These are my steps.
That's much better than my story. Thank you, Matt. That's good. That's really
what
good.
is your story?
No, it's the you.
No, I wanna know what's- I wanna know.
I was just gonna say, right at that moment, at that very quiet moment, I was having this moment with the steps, and then all of a sudden, these 6 college clowns came out of nowhere and went, "Wah!" And I like pissed in my pants. I like jumped like 3 feet in the air. I'm like, "Die!" Because I was
that's
so
great.
Yeah, no, I was saying,
Two of those guys are Matt and I, actually.
You bastards! No, but that actually happened. And on one hand, I was like, I was upset. I was,
But you kind of liked it too, right?
well, a little bit. And I'm all, those college frat boys. That's not my
No, go ahead, James.
No, a couple of things worth mentioning is that part of the reason The Exorcist hit a nerve is that the time that it came out was right after the counterculture. And a lot of the older generation was scared, frankly, by the behavior of their kids. Suddenly, their kids weren't, it's like Leave It to Beaver anymore. The kids were hippies and free love and doing drugs.
Counterculture.
Right.
Tell me more, Dr. Freud.
No, so The Exorcist really tapped into that, and all generations could actually kind of relate to it, no matter what. And also, it's worth mentioning that, from what I understand, Shirley MacLaine has sort of taken a claim that she was the basis for the Ellen Burstyn character because she had experienced.
Yeah, I'd heard about that. Yeah,
I don't know how true that is, but there you go.
I don't know about that. I do know that Linda Blair was not the first choice, though, to play that character.
Who was the first choice?
It was the girl. She was in the Star Trek episode, the bonk bonk on the head. She also
Kim Darby?
did.
Kim Darby?
No. She was the voice of Fern in Charlotte's Web.
Pam Ferdin.
That's it.
Pamela Ferdin,
That's it. She was actually, and because
that would have been bad.
No. Well, the funny thing, here's why though. The logic was we need an experienced child actress, and she had a lot of experience. She was like one of the first ones, but then it was Friedkin that said, "No, she's too recognizable. It won't work."
I agree.
Right.
There were a couple other child actresses at the time that weren't as popular as her, but Linda Blair hadn't done a lot of stuff by that time, and that's why they went. And I remember reading an article about Dick Smith, thinking, "Okay, so here's this cute girl with these little pudgy cheeks, and I have to make her into a demon." And he had a really difficult time making her into a demon.
He used the stand-in in some.
Yeah. Well, he
Fed her a lot of chocolate.
No, he didn't know. He didn't feed her chocolate. But my understanding was they did all this series of tests. Dick Smith did all kinds of tests to try to find out what the best look was. And the best look is what they ended up with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
Rice Krispies glued to.
No. Oh, it's funny. Everyone mentions the pea soup scene.
Mm-hmm.
And Sean, going back to what you said, I thought this was great. One of the things that Friedkin did too, in addition to the gun and making it really uncomfortable for his actors and actresses, they had to make Linda Blair do all that funky stuff on the bed. They had these boards with guys pulling cords that messed up her back, really.
Yeah.
But one of the things he did,
Possession's very bad for your back.
Yeah. But one of the things he did is he was telling Miller, the guy who played Father Karras, he said, "Okay, so look, this split piece stuff, when it's going to be shot on your chest, okay?" He freaking out lied to him, and he told him, "We're going to aim it for his face."
Yeah.
And so the scene that you see, when it spit on his face, that's a real authentic disgusted look, because
it is one of the funniest scenes in the movie.
No, it's not funny at all. It's horrifying. And see, we joke about it now. We all know that it's done with split pea soup and this.
No, I love that movie.
But at the time, Matt, it was unbelievable.
That was horrifying. And there's a couple scenes like when she's masturbating with a crucifix.
I was just going to say that's the thing that really bothered me the most. Even thinking about it now, was how sexual she was in some of those scenes.
Right.
It still doesn't sit well. I think also being a mom, you're just like seeing this beautiful little girl. Not
corrupted.
Totally.
I guess the split pea soup doesn't bother me as much as the masturbation scene. Like that
and it's abrupt too. It's like they go through a door, she's doing that.
Like you said,
and she's jamming it too.
Yeah.
It's like so disturbing.
It's a major studio movie that went there. You know? It's like whoa.
But can I point out one thing, which is sort of a famous thing about The Exorcist, and that is the ghost face.
Yeah,
the subliminal ghost face,
which appears like in a dream,
and
right?
it appears throughout the film.
It's a few places. Yeah.
And one of the things, like when I first watched, like I liked the movie the first time I saw it, and I enjoyed it. But the more that I found out about the ghost face and noticed it, the subliminal face that would show up, it kind of pissed me off because I felt like it was cheating.
No.
Well, I'm just telling you where I'm coming from. At least then.
You're wrong.
I agree.
You're so wrong.
No, I agree. I don't think
wait.
it was necessary.
Oh, you're wrong.
No, wait, hold,
okay.
hear me out. But like, I felt like it was cheating because the movie was so great. Like, it had everything else.
Yeah.
Like, I felt like it was almost, it's like a carny trick or something. And that was the thing that bothered me about the film. Like, you might as well just put in a hot dog and make me go to the snack bar.
Okay, so
it's like that kind of thing.
Okay, so there's a funny thing you just brought up. Okay, so you say it's kind of a carny thing. For me, it worked because to me it was subtle. I didn't, guys. It was there for.
Well,
I mean,
subliminal persuasion.
No,
by its nature
Matt,
is subtle.
Matt, it's there for. There's like 1 or 2 frames that's used like in a few places throughout the film. But let me tell you something else though. There was a very famous scene. There's a scene it's called the crab scene. And it's when supposedly Reagan is supposed to. She crawls she's on her back and she crawls down the stairs and then she gets down to the bottom of the stairs. She opens her mouth and there's blood that spurts out. Mm-hmm. In that scene, they shot it, but Freakin' had a problem, and the problem was. They were suspending. It was actually. It wasn't Linda Blair at first. It was they actually got a contortionist. To kind of do it. He couldn't hide the wires. Now again, remember this is back in 1973. We didn't have like CGI at the time,
right?
And so he didn't want to put it in. But then he thought at that point when you see that he felt it was so early in the film. That would suggest that she really is possessed. He decided he didn't want that because he wanted the audience to just wait until you get to the end.
It was too much.
And
it's
you
way
know
too
what,
much.
Matt, I didn't mind the few little face moments.
Well, I'm telling you, now I'm all right with it. Now I'm okay with it. I sort of understand. Like, look, you're making a horror film. Whatever it takes.
Yeah.
And it would be different if that was the only thing that made it scary.
Okay.
But it's got the whole rest of the movie. It's got great acting. It's got great special effects. And so now I'm all right with it.
Okay, I have one question for you, okay? Now, when you saw I don't know when the last time you saw this was, but did you see the director's cut version?
I have seen the director's cut,
Okay, but
yes.
is that what you're talking about? Because there are a few more shots
yes.
than
No,
the
but I
original.
realize-
I have the original, Matt.
I still think it.
No, no.
Again, I'm all right with it now. But I'm just saying, like, at the time,
It wasn't necessary.
I felt it wasn't
Yeah,
necessary.
yeah.
Yeah, that's all.
I think it was great, and I think it was perfect the way it was. So when they did the director's cut, they threw in a few more of those things. They added a bit of audio. They threw back in the crab scene, which I agree. I don't think that should be in there. But what they did with the audio was unbelievable. I actually took my one of my older brothers to see it when it was re-released at the Grauman's Chinese Theater, and it was such an amazing experience because everything that you hear is coming from the front screen, and then when the older priest comes, and then you hear way behind you, right when he arrives, and I jumped out of my seat. It was the audio is like so great if you have like a really good sound system.
Actually, there's a series of books by a guy named Wilson Bryan Key about subliminal persuasion, and
I know the books you're talking about.
You do?
Yes, I do.
There's a chapter on The Exorcist where he claims that Friedkin put in sounds of bees buzzing, because that's like naturally something that alerts people.
I would have run past him.
All right, now I hate the film again.
No.
Fucking bees.
It's freaking. It's freaking, and he's great. He's great.
It's fine.
Again,
look, if I'm all right with William Castle wiring some chairs and having a plastic skeleton fly over the audience, I'm fine with this.
The last thing I want to say about it is, when the film came out and around that time when Carter was running for president against Ronald Reagan. Do you remember that back in 1980? It's like 79. Yeah. As a kid, I remember thinking, I can't vote for Reagan because he's got the same name as little girls.
And that really hurt him, too.
And definitely, like, The Exorcist just spawned so many copycats and so many devil possession movies. It became like tons of satanic films started coming out in the 70s.
Because the devil brings in the money.
Yeah, it was big.
Exorcist itself brought in. There was Exorcist 2 and Exorcist 3, which I don't know if I want to talk about.
No, back then, Exorcist made so much money. It was only like Exorcist and The Godfather that were blockbusters at the time.
Yeah, that's true.
Pre-Jaws.
And it spawned like both like kind of the cheap, knockoff rip-offs, but also
Behind the Door, or what is it?
Beyond the Door.
Beyond the Door was great, but before we get into like those, that was like an Italian production.
Yeah.
But there were also just other major studio movies that started making them too, with fairly decent stars. And one of them was 1977's The Sentinel.
Oh, The Sentinel! Jess, have you seen that?
No, I have not.
You got to put that on your list.
But judging by how excited you are, I need to see it.
I totally forgot. No, Sean, that's a great film.
Yeah, now even though probably the movie would not exist if it wasn't for The Exorcist.
Yeah.
It's kind of like unfairly maligned, I think, as just like a cheap knockoff of The Exorcist.
It's not.
And Rosemary's Baby.
And Rosemary's Baby.
Which we'll talk about too.
It's great, but basically the idea is that Christina Rains, she plays this fashion model who has this kind of like dark past where she attempted suicide and she had this whole kind of weird thing with her dad.
Yeah, fashion model. Jessa.
Why are you looking over here?
No, I don't mean it like that. You're a
fashion model's in it. You're gonna like this movie.
You can relate.
But basically,
come on.
But she moves into this kind of like old apartment building in New York,
Like you did.
and weird shit starts happening. So supposedly she lives there by herself. There's no other tenants, but she starts meeting tenants, and going to that are living there. But then she finds out
And they have parties and stuff
Yeah,
too, right?
she's invited to like a party, but you find out that all these tenants don't live there. They're actually people who died years ago.
Yeah.
Dead people
And-
do throw some kick-ass parties.
Yes.
They really do.
There's nothing else to do.
Right, yeah. Hey, what do you...
But anyway, and
Bring your own ghost booze.
But I won't, like Jessa, I won't spoil the movie.
please,
for
no,
you. You should
don't
see it,
give her
but-
the.
But basically, it involves this. Like, there is one tenant that she's told that does live in the apartment building. And that's in the very upstairs
Mr.
room.
No.
Okay, so wait, I have a question though. When I'm watching this, since I've never seen it, am I going to know that they're dead from the beginning?
No.
Did you just ruin it for me?
No.
I kind of ruined it for
No,
you.
Damn it! And no pun intended.
No,
but
Jessa, there's some
But
other
that-
cool
yeah,
shit in
but
there
there's a lot
that
stuff-
he's not telling.
Well, they may
car
be dead,
chase.
It's like you just
maybe
sixth
not.
sense me right there.
Yeah, that's
It's
true.
like I see
But
dead
there's
people
a
because
lot-
they are dead.
But there's a lot more that's going on that
Okay.
I won't give away. But there is this old priest, this old blind priest played by the great John Carradine.
Yeah.
Now you ruined that he's blind. Thanks.
Who lives up by himself in this room, and he just lives up there in this top floor, just stares out the window the whole
Yeah.
time. Even though he's blind, he's just staring at something.
Yeah.
What is he staring at?
The
And,
elementary school across the street.
No.
But basically,
There's no.
Anyway, it involves kind of Satan and
Yeah.
hell, and
Yeah. Just don't
it all
Kinda
sub-
Satan.
Naturally.
It all kind of ties back to this Christina Rains character, her troubled past and what it all means and what her fate's going to be. But it's a shocking movie. It's creepy. It's pretty gory, and the cast is just
Amazing cast.
the
This
70s
is one of
cast is
those
amazing.
70s movies you look at and say, hey, there's young so-and-so.
Yeah.
And it's
Everybody,
like,
I mean, just to give you an idea, there's Chris Sarandon's in it, Martin Balsam, Jose Ferrer, Ava Gardner, Arthur Kennedy, Burgess Meredith, Eli Wallach.
That's he's
a very young Christopher Walken.
Yes, that's right.
I mean, Jeff Goldblum.
Mason Reese.
I don't think Mason.
I don't
Reese.
say
remember
Jeff?
Mason
Jeff who?
Reeves.
Jeff
Goldblum.
Okay,
Jeff
so there's
Goldblum
like
is in
3
there.
people that I know out of that whole
No,
cast.
but that'll be
Unless
cool.
I watch it and then I'm like,
you'll-
I know that.
No, you're
person.
watching.
you're right.
Yeah.
And there's actually a really cool scene that I always remembered. You probably identify with. There's like this scene where there's the model. They're filming this commercial. Remember this, Sean?
Right.
Yeah,
right.
and so she has to like hold a wine bottle a certain way and kind of giggle. Each time she does it, it's wrong. She doesn't hold the bottle correctly. Remember
Right,
that?
right. Jerry
And the director-
Orbach
he
actually
gets
is the
Jerry
director.
Orbach. He gets all pissed off at her. He goes, "Oh, take again. Let's do another take."
She's the Orson Welles of this movie.
No, but she gets stuff wrong.
Why are you looking over me?
No, I'm
Like,
just-
why are you looking over here?
I'm just saying, sometimes models.
No, I don't know, Larry. Why don't you tell me some more? Since you know so much about models, tell me some more, Larry.
Yeah, it's funny. It seems that Jessa so far has done everything perfect on this podcast.
No,
whereas-
yeah, she's doing great. She's doing fantastic.
Yeah.
She's doing a
Okay.
fantastic job.
But it's
Yeah.
definitely
It is a good
check
film.
It out. Yeah,
I
it's
will
a
watch
good-
it, not because of what Larry says, but because Sean recommends.
No, but you might like.
Yeah,
You might
of
like
all the satanic model movies.
Yeah.
I really-
This is the one to see on the
Right.
top of my list.
Yeah.
Got it. Got
we
it.
had mentioned Larry. We mentioned Beyond the Door.
You have to talk about that.
Okay, which is like an Italian.
I've never seen that, by the way.
You haven't
my
seen it?
gosh,
Neither have
great.
I.
Is it good?
It's great. Oh,
well,
yeah,
no,
it's
well,
great.
yes,
No,
and,
it's
yes
fun.
and no.
was this
Yes.
Marilyn Chambers?
No, it's Juliet Mills, who better known as from Nanny and the Professor.
That's right. Yeah.
There was this TV show from 1970 to 71 or something.
Also a satanic show.
No. There's a little supernatural.
Sounds
No,
like
okay,
it.
okay,
I've never
okay.
seen it, but it
For-
sounds-
No, listen, for our listeners and for Jessica, because she probably doesn't remember this. The show is about there's this professor guy, and he has 2 or 3 kids, and they
Yeah.
hire this nanny to come
Very-
in to kind of
Either I don't remember it or I wasn't born yet.
It was a Mary Poppins.
A very Mary
Yes,
Poppins.
Yeah,
yes,
it was
yes.
a Mary
But
Poppins
you see,
style
but it wasn't
sitcom.
like there wasn't like little cartoon birds and things. It was kind of subtle. And Nanny she was beautiful and she was British and she.
Yeah, it was just a
And she had
sweet-
signed a pact with
What?
Satan.
No,
Her
back
persona was very squeaky clean. So
Look-
in Beyond the Door, it's kind of like instead of the daughter
I see,
being
see.
possessed, it's
It's
the
the
mother.
mother.
and it's Juliet Mills. And
Juliet Mills!
That's so fucking hot.
They did the whole, twist the head around, the vomiting, the levitating. It's a blatant ripoff of The Exorcist.
Total.
But it's really fun.
I should watch this.
And you know why, Matt?
Matt,
you know why you like it? It takes place in San Francisco, your old hometown.
And also Richard Johnson's in it.
Yeah.
from
I only
Zombie.
watch Satanic San Francisco movies.
Okay,
You know me.
and the thing about it too that is kind of creepy is some of the stuff is kind of shown from the kid's perspective. So she's possessed and she's pregnant, right, Sean?
I think so.
Yeah. And so she has these two other kids, and they come into the room and to see mommy, and mommy does the whole twist of the neck. I mean, it's for a kid. It's
Jesus
just,
Christ.
Yeah, but Sean is right.
Mommy's busy right now.
It is a blatant ripoff, but it is a fun.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's all kind of serious. It's serious. It's not really a big budget.
It's a ham-fisted Italian ripoff of The Exorcist, but all in the good ways.
So understand, I wouldn't put it up in the same category as The Exorcist, which I think is brilliant. This is kind of more of a fun. It's kind of schlocky.
But then,
70s.
so if we're going to talk about that, then I'm going to have to pick Sean's brain about, because this is one that I like, but I think you're more of an expert. But it originally was Lisa and the Devil.
Yeah.
Mario Bava. Mario Bava, one of our favorite filmmakers. But then it was like recut, and they added some other stuff.
It was recut as a House of Exorcism.
House of Exorcism,
right.
For obvious reasons.
And you're exactly right. They kind of added a bunch of demon possession scenes with Elkie Summer.
Yes.
Doing the whole Linda Blair
not
routine.
necessarily bad, but...
No. But yeah, the original film was kind of a strange movie about...
It's way more subtle.
Yeah, way more subtle. It's Elkie Summer kind of is being courted by the devil, played by Telly Savalas, of all people.
Oh, he's great.
With a lollipop,
yes.
by the way.
Yeah.
He was trying to quit smoking at the time, and he adopted the lollipop, and then it stuck for Kojak.
It's right. It was before
So that was before
Kojak.
It was
Kojak?
pre-Kojak.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
pre-Kojak.
Wow.
A pre-Kojak lollipop-sucking Telly Savalas.
Jessica,
Can I- wait,
do you know
Kojak?
Kojak?
Yeah, I don't speak Japanese.
Sweet.
It's just going right over my
Nicely done.
It's okay. I'll just sit here and smile like models do, right?
Yeah.
Damn.
You know we're talking about satanic cinema tonight,
Yeah.
right? You have seen
Well-
more than one satanic cinema movie.
Yes.
Right.
Oh,
Okay,
she's
good.
seen-
All right.
Correct.
Good.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
But
yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
Kojak, there was a time in the 70s when a detective show could have a bald-headed, cantankerous detective who sucked on a lollipop, and that got ratings.
Yeah.
Yes,
For
my
years
dad
and
actually
years.
watched it.
Yeah. It was a sick, terrible time. Yeah.
And you know what's funny is I do fit into this group because the only, I guess, series that I ever watched and I sat and watched straight through was American Horror Story. That's the only one. I could sit there and watch one episode Game of Thrones, House of Cards. I'm like, okay, and I lose interest. Right. I stayed up, I want to say, for 2 days and just watched American Horror Story back to back to back to back.
Now, what are we talking about?
All seasons or
the first
Okay,
one?
So my favorite one, and I don't know if it's just because I'm a female, I would say The Coven. I really connected with that one.
I like that one.
Yeah.
I like that
Yeah.
one.
I
that
went
fits into
to-
the satanic theme too.
Sure.
Yeah.
I went to New Orleans and I went and saw where they filmed or where it actually where they say
Did you? Yes.
I was one of the only girls. It was when we did the Playboy was the Super Bowl. I was one of the only girls that wanted to go. I had to have a friend in town take me. Nobody else would go.
No way.
And I got out, took a picture in front, and I was obsessed. So that, and then when and I can't think of the name, but when the house, and there was a possession with the house.
Yeah.
And the lead actor, I was so attracted to him. He's such a good-looking guy. But the one that made me seriously watch straight through, and the actor that I connected with the most was the boy. The boy that is the love interest of everybody. The young boy who plays Flash in X-Men.
yeah.
And I can't think of his name if you guys
Yeah.
can remember his name. Out of all of
He
the
plays
characters...
Quicksilver.
Oh, Quicksilver.
Right?
That's right.
Yeah.
He's in every single one, and he's amazing. I
He
love
is
his
great.
character in every
He
single
is great.
one.
No, he's really great.
So it's the one where the mom is possessed. He actually has sex with the mother. The mother becomes pregnant with a demonic baby.
Yeah.
Loses the normal baby and actually gives birth to the devil's offspring. So that's the movie
right.
that or the
Evan
show.
Evan Peters.
Thank you.
Right.
Yes.
Wow.
So that's one of the only TV shows that I actually watched from start to finish, and I want to see the one with Lady Gaga. It's the Motel. Is that what it is?
Yeah. Motel one.
Those
Yeah.
are
Most
to me
recent
though.
one.
Those shows to me my favorite one is still the first one because it was the creepiest.
Is that the Insane Asylum?
No, that's the very first one. It's the haunted house.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
I thought you were talking about the witch one.
No, The Coven's my favorite, but The Haunted House was the one that got me hooked.
All right.
Which was the
All right.
first
No,
one.
that's it.
Yeah,
No, that was
got me
great.
hooked.
That was
Now-
great.
And especially the part where they revealed that the girl had committed suicide and she was
Yeah.
dead the whole time. When he went up to the attic to show her body,
Yes.
I almost lost my
No, that's a
shit,
that's
'cause
a.
I almost
I
lost
love.
Now, look.
I love that.
If you like demon babies,
And who doesn't?
we've got the film for you.
Okay,
Okay.
go.
I know it's one of Sean's favorites. Now, this is actually
One of all of our favorites, I think.
It predates. The
Look who's
Exorcist.
talking.
No. It's-
Babies that
and
talk?
You know that's not fair.
Come on.
That's not fair because I like that movie. That's a fun movie.
But we're talking unless Satan's involved.
No,
Bruce
it's in
Willis.
his mind.
I
but-
prefer Look Who's Talking Now.
okay.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
The
The
topic
movie-
is
The topic is Satanic Cinema, and the movie is from 1968. It's Rosemary's
Yeah.
Baby.
Yeah, classic.
Jessa, have you seen Rosemary's Baby?
I've seen it.
What, you seen it?
Yeah, I didn't really connect with it. Yeah.
Really? Wow.
It didn't
You know
work
what?
for you?
I saw it as an adult, and again, that's one of those movies I wish I would have saw, when I was a little bit younger, because I've told you guys this before, but I feel that it's I'm numb to like all of the CGI and all of the great things that we have nowadays. So Rosemary's Baby was not one. Again, it was like Carrie to me. I was just like, meh. Like
You didn't like Carrie either?
No,
The
I didn't
De Palma
connect
one,
with
the
it.
first one.
The first one, and I didn't like the other one either. The other one was way worse. Julianne Moore sucked. The girl.
We can agree on that.
Look,
Okay.
I don't know if you were in some kind of like drunken.
Easy, watch it.
Okay, I'm just.
I don't know if
saying-
you were in some sort of model model camp when you saw it.
Look, this film.
I agree with you guys on Exorcist.
Look, Matt has said in the past, sometimes you have to look at a film with when it was shot, during the times that it was shot. And this film in 1968, there was a lot of stuff going on at that time. It was a very turbulent time. Roman Polanski, who I'm sure is a name that you're familiar with.
Yes.
He wrote and directed this film.
Well, it was extremely faithful to the Ira Levin novel.
Yeah.
And the novel and the film were both particularly good at weaving the commonplace everyday with the supernatural, which at the time nobody
agree.
ever really did.
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
back then, a horror movie was, Gothic horror, supernatural. And it didn't...
It's kind of classed it up a little bit.
Right.
Well, it's a contemporary story about New Yorkers.
Yeah.
There's nothing. The movie takes place in a very commonplace real world.
Yeah.
And these Satan worshippers of the story are these kind of just like old elderly eccentrics. It's not. It's not like in your face demonic possession type of cinema.
Yes, but Sean, but just take a step back. When you start to meet these people, you don't know this, Sean.
Exactly.
You don't know.
Sure,
As far as
the
you're
movie is
concerned, Sean.
You do know there's something wrong with them.
Yeah, they're a little weird. They're a little quirky.
But you think they're harmless.
So look,
yeah.
for our listeners who and for Jessa, because maybe she doesn't remember seeing it. It's it's this film.
You know how models are.
So there's this young couple that moves into this apartment, and
It's the Dakota in New York.
yeah, and there are these strange people who kind of befriend them, and they start making all these kinds of suggestions to.
Why don't you have sex with Satan?
No.
Try it out.
No,
He's really
okay,
nice.
Look. See,
Compared to the guy that you were dating?
okay. See, now this is what you're making it into a joke, Matt. It's not a joke. It's a really cool,
Well,
creepy
there's
thing.
a series of events that are truly diabolical
And-
because
but
everything
yes.
that happens behind the scenes. I mean, there's another woman who's being groomed for the Bride of Satan, and she kills herself.
But
Yeah.
the movie,
So they
the
have
movie,
to find somebody else, and they
Right.
seduce her husband, who's an actor.
But
and
all
getting him
this
success.
stuff is stuff that you're not sure about. The movie is really a beautiful exercise in paranoia.
Right.
Yeah.
From Rosemary Woodhouse's point of view.
And
It's
let
like
us
like she's the only one to think something's going on, but she's not sure. Everybody else is like, "Oh no, you're crazy. You know what you're talking about." And it's just it all is building up until you find out what's going on. That's what it is. It's a movie about paranoia.
And what's
it works.
amazing about this film is that the woman who plays Rosemary is Mia Farrow. Now, at the time,
Who ended up marrying the devil.
no, that's not true either. I mean, why do you do that? Look. At the time,
Which devil are we talking
okay,
about?
look. She was married at the time
your flavor.
to a huge star, a recording star, movie star, Frank Sinatra. Maybe you've heard of him.
Yeah.
Okay, well, look,
I'm just taking
saying,
a little too far.
No, I don't. Okay,
Yeah,
no,
With the hand gesture.
I don't know.
Like,
No. I love you. Look, you're our guest. I couldn't be nothing but nicer.
There
to
was
you.
this president named Lincoln. He freed the slaves. Let me explain what slaves are.
okay.
I remember that I was invited on here and I could have my own opinion. I guess I'm wrong.
No, you're right. No, right.
No, you're absolutely right. You may have your own
I
opinion.
will leap across the table. I want to hear you. I want to know what you feel about Larry.
Can I just finish my thing really
Yes,
quickly
go
about Frank
ahead.
Sinatra really
Okay.
quick? Talking about satanic cinema.
Okay.
No, he was a huge star at the time, and he specifically told Mia Farrow, because she had done a few things, and this would have been this great as a starring role for her. He did not want her to do it, and she goes, well, this is great for my career, and she did it anyway. During this on set, halfway through the film, Frank Sinatra had divorce papers carried onto the set by an attorney, and the attorney gave it to her on set in front of everyone who was
I
there.
think it was something that said something like, you are no longer Mrs. Sinatra.
Yeah, and she actually was thinking of quitting the film, and then and Polanski says, "No, you're doing great. Look," and he showed her all her performance for like maybe half the film, and said, "This is an Academy Award performance." Well, she wasn't nominated, but she continued with the film, and she's perfect in this role. What do you think?
Wasn't Sinatra's point of contention also that she cut her hair that way?
Yes,
Well,
no, it was.
yeah.
She
That was
her
probably
really
all
short.
of it.
Oh,
Don't you think?
okay. He's like, I just need one reason. You cut your hair.
She looks like a boy now.
Yeah.
But look, you have a great.
Who wants to fuck Peter Pan?
Look, you have a great cast here. I mean, you've got Ralph Bellamy in this. You've got Ruth Gordon in it.
Maurice Evans.
Maurice Evans. That's right. And the funny thing is, Ruth Gordon, who we know is this sweet old lady, and when you see her in the movie, that's kind of what you think, and you don't know where it's going to go, and it's just. And there's this creepy dream that she has, and she's not sure if it's real or a dream.
no, that's good.
And for this for the 1960s, the late 60s, yes, some of it may be cliche now, but if you look at it with the eyes of 1968,
Well,
it's
also,
truly
if-
great.
It's true. Like late '60s, early '70s. I think James, you touched upon this. How it was the counterculture and the hippie movement, and there was kind of like a popularity resurgence of Satanism during this time. There's like Anton LaVey.
He is that big
He was
guy.
this
He
guy
is a
who
big
like
guy.
created the Church of Satan, and it became like kind of like this hip thing to do, like to kind of be
Yeah.
into Satanism.
Because
And
the underground became a little more commonplace in the counterculture.
Right.
And as long as you had a hot tub to go to, then
yeah, pretty much.
anything went.
So there was that kind of resurgence in popularity, and that was right coming off of Rosemary's Baby too. And then once The Exorcist hit, there was kind of another resurgence in a way of popularity in devil possession.
Didn't Anton? He was a
Satanist?
No. Yes, he was a Satanist.
Episcopalian?
No.
He was like the magician. He worked in the carnivals and circuses.
Yeah.
And he created.
He started this Church of Satan in San Francisco.
Yeah.
There's urban legends that, because I grew up in San Francisco and went to school in the Sunset District, and apparently he had a house there that was painted black, and then he had a tiger for a while.
But he
and
was great with the press. He really knew how to promote himself.
Yeah.
They would have satanic weddings and baptisms.
But
I think
he's also a technical advisor.
That's what he was, a technical advisor
and
on.
appears in one of my favorite ridiculous satanic films,
if it's what I
The
think
Devil's Reign.
The Devil's Reign.
Wow.
The Devil's Reign.
That's from 1975.
Yeah, and starring William Shatner. Talk about a star-studded cast. Yeah. Oh my God! I mean, everybody is in this.
Tom
fucking-
Skerritt,
Ernest
Tom Skerritt,
Borgnine.
Keenan
Ernest
Wynn.
Borgnine.
Isn't Travolta in this?
He has a
Travolta,
It's one of
yeah.
John
It's a
Travolta's first
peanut. He has
roles.
one line, man.
Ida Lupino is in this.
Do you know any of these names, Jessa?
No, I mean,
Ernest
I know
Borgnine.
I know Travolta.
Academy
I know
Award
Shatner.
winning.
I'd have to see a picture of his
Eddie
face.
Albert. These
Eddie
were all
Albert.
big names of the time.
Yeah.
But isn't it all about like this Corbin family curse or something? Or
Yeah.
no, Corbin is they harass the Preston family, right?
Right.
It's Corbis is a
Corbis, that's what it is.
Ernest Borgnine's character, and he's just a leader of a Satanist group, and they want this book, which is kind of like a Necronomicon book, which spells in it, and it's just a battle between like this family and Corbis and his followers.
It's a low budget film.
Yeah, but fun though.
And Shatner really puts on a performance in this. And the funny thing, I mean, when you see him as Captain Kirk, here he is like completely different. You know?
Yeah, but the movie is known for is like this kind of apocalyptic sequence.
It's the ending.
where-
Who cares what goes on before this scene?
Yeah.
It's the ending.
Yeah.
It's like basically.
Don't.
Well,
Come on. We have to spoiler alert this one.
If we spoil it for people who haven't seen it yet, they're just going to want to watch it more.
Doesn't it go a little beneath the Planet of the Apes-ish? If I remember correctly.
of.
In what way?
But basically, at the end, something goes wrong with, and like the devil's wrath comes down on the Satanists.
Yeah.
And because they fuck up.
Yeah.
So basically, as a storm comes and it rains, and for about 20 minutes, it's like about 20 minutes of people melting.
It's
Yes,
awesome.
it's really great. And Ernest
It's like the rain
Borgnine.
is like acid on the
Yes.
on
Yeah,
the,
it's
on
like
the
And Ernest
disciples.
Borgnine, by the way, he can look like a normal human, but then when he gets all up, in
Deviled
Satan
up, but
shit,
yeah.
he looks like a animal boy or whatever.
And with horns.
like a ram.
It's,
Yeah.
and Matt, it's an awesome makeup.
It's a great
It's a
makeup.
great look.
But
I
then
think
he's
it's John
the-
Chambers, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's like what's melting off his face. But you know that it's just like they just got like some alcohol that they normally take the makeup off with and just sprayed it down.
I don't know. I think they hose them with hot water
or whatever.
something.
But
That's steamy.
It's fun though.
but
It's
you're
it's
not
worth it for that.
Now so you have an idea of what the ending, but don't say that there's a special ending. That's how it actually
there's a
ends.
little-
Don't
No, I
say
won't.
no,
Yeah, there's a little
because it's
twist,
not.
but yeah.
It's not how I expected it to end.
Yeah.
And
but it's like it's not in the league.
Nick Fury shows up.
No.
I
Again,
put in together a team
who
of
does Ernest
demons.
play?
Ernest
He
plays
plays-
the main bad guy.
Yeah.
Corbus.
Okay.
Corbus.
Yeah.
So how I do know him, because I know the name, how I do know him, he plays in basketball. So I'm gonna have to. This is like a Tim Curry, It versus Rocky Horror Picture.
Okay, Jessa,
so now I'm gonna
That's
watch
right.
this and
He
be
also-
like, he's the guy that chokes on the fucking hot dog.
Yeah,
in
Jessa.
basketball.
He also does a voice in SpongeBob SquarePants. Does that help you out? He's
No,
like,
but my
he's
son
like,
would know.
Okay,
Yeah.
well there.
He's
you go.
also in a lot of
He's in
really
about
fucking great,
200
really great
movies.
movies.
Yeah.
Seriously,
That's
though.
how I know
He
him.
lived to be
That's
like
how I
93 or
recognize.
94
Yeah,
years
no,
old.
he's great.
He's in the original Escape from New York.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
the eyebrows.
Poseidon
are-
He's the
Adventure.
cabbie.
Now,
Yeah.
again, we want to point out this is not the same caliber. I think as Exorcist.
It's a drive-in movie.
It's
It's a drive-in
is
film.
kind of like Beyond the Door.
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
So-
Again, one of the many.
It's pretty ridiculous,
yeah.
but it's
fun.
It is fun.
Matt,
Without a doubt, it's fun.
Yeah.
It would be a
Yeah.
good double feature with Race with the Devil.
Okay, now
wait.
we're talking about. If I can co-opt this a little bit, James.
Yeah, go
Okay.
ahead.
This
please.
movie is one of my favorite devil movies of all time.
Go for it.
Man.
Love it.
Yeah.
Jessa, do you know this one?
I do not.
Oh, right.
Oh my
down.
god!
You
Talk
got another
about
one
a
right down.
movie that you could remake.
Okay. Yeah.
And Race with the Devil. Here's the story. So
Yeah.
you've got Peter Fonda.
Yeah.
You've got
Who was big, really big at that time.
huge. Yeah. Loretta Swit, who was Hot Lips and
Yes,
MASH.
yeah.
This was like
Yeah.
the
Warren
only-
Oates.
Warren
Yeah.
Oates and
Laura Parker.
Yes,
From
from
Dark
Dark
Shadows.
Shadows.
Oh my god, I forgot
Yeah.
about that.
And so they're
Two couples.
two couples. They're in an RV. They got some motorcycles on the top, and they're going to go off into the woods, and they're going to see the back country, and they're going to ride their motorcycles, and the women are going to make coffee. And it's just going to be awesome. And so they're doing their whole thing, and at one point they see this nice little meadow, and they park the RV, and they're got their beers out, and they're having their cocktails, and talking with the wives, and all of a sudden across the way they see there's like a little something happening, and they're like, oh my god, it's some sort of ritual happening.
Well, first they think it's just like hippies.
Well,
like
that's
doing,
what they
you
see
know,
a ritual, and
yeah.
they go, oh, it's probably just a bunch of
It's an
hippies
orgy.
doing their thing, you know. And so you see all these people in cloaks, and then all of a sudden a woman gets naked, and they're like,
Ooh.
all right, here we go, all right, let's see it.
Free show.
Yeah. So the leader of this cult brandishes this giant knife, and they're like, what the fuck? Stabs the naked woman. She's a sacrifice. And the wives come out as this is happening, and they see it, and one of them goes, no! And
Everybody
turns around.
Like, oh shit.
Oh, fuck. And so they start running towards them. So they get into
like that. Just like that.
No, that's
I know, but like
I'm telling you, look up the screenplay. That's in the screenplay. Yeah. There's a lot of Y's, and they get into the RV and they take off. And so now the rest of the movie is this satanic cult. No matter where they go,
It's a chase.
following
yeah,
them.
it's a chase. And
So
it's a perfect hybrid of action film and
horror movie.
It really is.
It's so great, and there's so
Simple,
many
sublime.
Yeah, and it's also back in the day when a car chase was like with real cars,
Right,
and
right.
they actually wreck stuff. But
yeah,
it's like,
when they really wreck
Yeah.
cars.
It's also back in the day when movies did not necessarily end on an upbeat note.
No.
There were a lot of kind of...
that in the
I don't want to
'70s.
give this one away, but it's a great ending.
And I appreciate those kind of movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Me
I
too,
don't like,
me too.
it's always a happy ending.
Me
No,
too.
that person should have died.
Back in the early 70s, I think you'd be hard-pressed to find a happy ending.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But there is one scene that I think I can tell. And this is because there's a lot of chasing and there's a lot of great action stuff. But there's one really great scene where they kind of think they've gotten away from these guys, and so they go into this motel, and everyone's kind of relaxing, and the girls put on their bathing suits, and they're going to go out to the pool, and they're in the pool, and one of the wives is in the pool, and all of a sudden she starts noticing everybody around her in this pool is just staring at her.
Okay.
And I was just like, fuck. I am so afraid of Satanists. I'm afraid of anyone at a motel now. I'm afraid of swimming. I'm afraid
Anything
of
you do.
chlorine.
Yeah.
It's a great movie. And
I wrote it down.
Yeah,
So
no,
I'm gonna see
that's
it.
big on my list.
Okay.
Yeah, lot of fun.
Okay.
So
awesome.
so we've written down. We've given you a lot here.
I mean, so far I have the Sentinel and I have the Devil's Race.
is that it?
Race with the Devil.
Race
No,
with
it's
the Devil.
fine.
Oh, Race
It's
with
fine.
the Devil. Sorry.
Fucking models.
I tell you.
The remake will be called The Devil's Race.
Now I know that I know that there's so many of these films that we could talk about.
Well, let's talk about The Omen. We can't not talk about The
can't.
Omen.
That was my next thing. I was going to talk about The Omen.
Okay.
Go ahead. Why don't you
we
say
can't
something?
let's not get too much into it because we did talk
No,
about
Well,
this.
we can talk
we
about it
did,
briefly.
yeah.
James Omen.
No, I mean,
1976.
David Seltzer, he drew on the Bible. He went back to like the New Testament.
Not familiar with it.
The Book
The
of Revelation.
Bible?
And, Damien. Everybody knows Damien. Is
No, not everyone knows.
Oh, everybody knows.
Nobody wants to name their kid Damien because of this movie. It's a great name, but nobody wants
like-
to.
You know, and I know,
Just like Reagan.
Yes,
Nobody
exactly.
wants
And
It's
I
like
know.
Adolf. Dear Adolf. So he's the spawn of Satan, and horrible things happen to everybody who suspects he's the spawn of Satan. And then there's sequels. Omen 2, he's a little bit older. Omen 3, he's old enough to, maybe become
Final Conflict.
Final conflict.
Yeah, now he's
That's
like
what Sam-
almost becoming the president or something.
And that's
Yeah.
yes,
Right.
well,
Wait.
and that's with Sam Neill,
Sam
who
Neill,
went on to
yeah.
go Jurassic Park.
And
You know
don't
Jurassic
forget,
Park, Jessa,
don't
right?
forget-
Yes, I do.
Okay,
Thank you,
good.
Larry.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
God.
Thank you for
Don't forget
checking
the
in.
TV movie sequel, Omen 4: The Awakening.
Right, where it's a little girl,
little
right?
girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting that it would be
It
called The
sucks.
Awakening when it was impossible to stay awake.
And then the remake with Liev Schreiber. Did anybody see that?
No.
Nobody saw that.
Why?
Fuck it.
I know.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
Well,
can you
now-
recommend it to us?
yeah, well, I'm glad we
I
talked
didn't
about
see it.
this.
Oh, wait, yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. The
did?
Mom in the Stairs. Yes, I did see that.
The remake.
Yes, the
Remake,
remake.
really?
How was it?
The little boy's creepy.
Okay.
Yeah, the actor is creepy. But that's one of the movies where I don't feel you could do it justice. Again, like
To
The
the
Exorcist.
original.
Yeah, it's just that's something where the original Damien is just like that's who you envision. But the little boy
Exactly.
was good.
And the original trilogy had this. All three movies had a great score by Jerry Goldsmith, and the first one won him his only Oscar. Tremendous and very influential. The chorus and
totally, yeah.
the close up of mastiff dogs. With the
Oh
eyes.
my gosh, that's so great. Well, the first and the second one were really, really good.
Yeah, the
You
third
know.
one not so much, but
I like Sam Neill though.
and the music is great.
Yeah.
in all of
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
But and
The
now,
songs were fantastic.
The songs.
The movie,
Yeah.
though.
actually, the first one did have a song, but
That's
Oh my
right.
God.
that's only for the film score nerds out there. And now A&E is doing a reboot series called Damien, which we'll see how it goes. Yeah, he's an adult, and he didn't know he's the Antichrist. Now he's figuring it out, and that's the premise. And A&E
interesting.
wants it to be their next Bates Motel, basically.
Oh, great.
wow.
Okay, all right.
Well, it's interesting that you should bring up an Omen TV series because there was a series, and I believe it was CBS, and I loved it so much. It only lasted a season, but it was called American Gothic.
Oh,
Do you remember American
yeah,
Gothic?
actually, I do, Matt. I
it
do.
was created by Sean Cassidy.
Of all people.
That's right.
Yeah.
No, I remember
Who was a big
that.
pop star.
Yeah. Remember
way
Sean
back in the
Cassidy?
70s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To the
And-
Hardy Boys.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
mom had a crush on him.
Of course. But it was a great series, and it was only on for one season, but I remember watching the first one, and it's the first time I'd ever been exposed to the actor Gary Cole. And Gary Cole, who's a genius. I don't know if you watch Veep. He's on that. He was
Office Space.
Office Space.
Yeah.
One of the most iconic characters ever.
Whoa,
Office
wait, he's
Space.
the main
He's the
character?
boss.
He's the boss with his
Oh,
holding
he
the
goes,
mic.
Yeah.
that'd be good.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's,
That
well,
guy's
he was funny in
he's
that.
hilarious. He's also the dad in
Brady
the
Bunch.
Brady Bunch
Yeah.
movies. Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
really good.
Yeah.
You know
With
those
that
ones.
amazing wig.
Yeah.
You remember that one, right?
But he-
yes, Larry,
Yeah, okay,
thank
I
you.
just- yeah.
But it's so great. And really what this series was, imagine Mayberry, imagine the Andy Griffith Show, But Andy Griffith is the devil. And the whole town is peaceful and all that. That's only because everyone is scared shitless of the devil sheriff. So how the story goes, Sheriff Buck, the devil sheriff, impregnates a woman and she gives birth to a child. And that child, you would think, is the Antichrist, but the child doesn't really like his dad. So the main plot of the series is, will the devil win over his son's evil soul, or can he be changed and turned the other way?
Kind of like Dr. Evil and his kid.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Another of my favorite satanic movies. Yeah. But it's a whole lot of fun. It's available on DVD as we speak. And I mean, I'm telling you, my God, Gary Cole is so great, just so charismatic and terrifying all at the same time. And then playing his son, his name is Caleb Temple in the series, is Lucas Black. And Lucas Black, who did a bunch of movies since then and was in one of the Fast and Furious. Yeah. Wasn't he Tokyo Drift or one of those movies? Wow. But a great series that didn't get a chance. And what's sad, it's kind of like Deadwood, if anyone watched Deadwood, that it just sort of ends, so there's never really any closure. Closure. But absolutely worth seeing.
Well, on the subject of TV series, Brimstone with Peter Horton. Don't know if you guys
I do remember that.
That was interesting.
Yeah, a cop who's in limbo and that makes a deal with the devil to try to avenge his wife's murder, something along those lines.
Has to save various people's souls.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
That's all I remember about it, but it had a cult following.
Is it a thing like, wasn't it a thing like if he gets criminal souls, he'll
get points and then allow him to go back to heaven or something.
Very Constantine.
Okay, well, kind of like following TV. There was a famous actress who was on a very popular TV show that decided to leave the TV show to go do her big film debut kind of a thing, and it had to deal with the devil or demons, and that was Lisa Bonet in Angel Heart from 1987.
I was about to bring that up.
You see, the funny thing is, I thought it had something kind of neat. It's basically the story of it's like a snake eating its own tail. Okay, it's Mickey Rourke, who's Mickey Rourke. I mean, he was
with his old face.
That's true.
Yeah.
Mickey
This
Rourke,
was
you remember?
back when Mickey Rourke had potential to be a real star.
Yeah, and Alan Parker, who the famous director who did Midnight Express and Pink Floyd The Wall,
And Fame.
The Commitments,
Fame,
right?
And I mean, great director. And I had really high hopes for this film. And God, so there are these murders, and Mickey Rourke has to try to find out who is committing these murders, kind of a thing.
It's all in New Orleans, and he's hired by Robert De Niro.
Yes.
His name is, get this, Lou Cipher.
And what really pisses me off, there's this moment where he eats this egg, which is so freaking disgusting.
That's what you're mad about?
No, remember, it's a hard-boiled egg.
Worse things.
No. And the big thing about it is, Lisa Bonet was like, hey, I'm an adult now, and I'm going to do this dance where she kind of takes some stuff off.
Right.
Yeah,
and
it's glorious.
I mean, we had high hopes,
It's a detective mystery about, and he's tracking down the
like
singer.
it.
Yeah,
And the whole thing is in really hot, seedy New Orleans.
Yeah, and it's a great twist to it, which you won't give
it's not
away.
the greatest movie in
you
the
thought
world.
it was I thought the twist. I was a little disappointed with the ending. I'm saying
I like the twist.
It looked great.
It turned everything upside down.
Okay,
Kind of.
I'm not really okay. So,
We-
listeners, I'm not a big fan of the ending. These guys are, but it
So
is.
go see it.
No,
We did a show that was called Terrible, but I love it. And I think Angel Heart sort of, for me, fits into that category. I think it's a terrible movie, but I love it.
If Mickey
I would say-
Rourke and Lisa Bonet are in it, I'm
Yeah.
going to see it.
How about
Yeah,
you?
I don't think it's
I'm
terrible.
gonna see
there's
it.
I don't think
there's
it's terrible,
there's
but-
some sexiness in there.
Yeah.
You might like it,
Yeah,
Jessa.
yeah.
But
I will like it.
Jumping back to TV a little bit. So one of the most famous television shows ever, especially when it comes to horror and sci-fi,
Yeah.
The Twilight Zone. And the Twilight Zone, and whether a lot of those stories hold up perfectly today with a modern viewer's sensibility, for what it was doing at the time was groundbreaking. Especially they had no money, but they really put it into the actors. Really amazing performances. And there are two specific devil stories that they did that I really enjoy. The most famous one is called The Howling Man. Mm-hmm. And The Howling Man, written by a writer who did quite a few Twilight Zone episodes, Charles Beaumont.
Mm-hmm. Charles Beaumont.
And what the story is there's this guy who's kind of lost in the rain, and he comes upon this monastery, and he needs a place to stay, and they're like, they don't want to let him in. But they're like, okay, finally they let him in. And they go, down the hallway, you might hear some yelling. Just ignore it and just sleep, and then get the fuck out of here the next day. And so he goes, oh, yeah, fine. And so that night, he follows the howling, and he sees there's this guy who looks so timid and nice, and he's like, these priests are crazy. They put me in this place, and I don't know why. They think I'm the devil. I don't know why. And so, okay, well, I don't know what I can do. I don't really have any power. Okay. And so then he starts thinking about it, and he goes to the monks and tells the monks, what is with that guy? Don't go there at all. Okay. But he goes there. And so finally, through this guy's pleading, he ends up letting him out. And of course, as soon as he lets him out, he's walking, and you see him gradually start growing horns. Yeah. And the monks say, look, this is the deal. You notice how everything, like, the world isn't perfect, but in the past few years, there haven't really been any giant wars or anything. Well, that's because we had the devil and you let him go. You stupid motherfucker.
That's funny.
That's in the script, by the way.
No, they don't actually say that, though, Matt.
So now the rest of his life, he has to get the devil back.
Yeah.
And eventually he finds him. And he puts him in a room, but this is the dumb. Yeah, it's a closet. This is
it's a hotel room.
Yeah, it's a hotel room, and this is my favorite. This is the dumb part of the story. He goes, "There's a maid there," and he goes, "Listen, there's a guy gonna yell on the other side of this door. Whatever you do, don't let him out." Okay. Yeah. Whew, now I can go get dinner. Like, no, that's a bad idea. Don't trust the devil to your maid. So the other one is called A Nice Place to Visit. And this is one that I really enjoy.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Larry Blyden plays Henry Francis Rocky Valentine. And he's this hood, just no good. And he's being chased by the cops after he killed someone and robbed a bank. And he gets shot, and all of a sudden he wakes up, and there is Sebastian Cabot, famous character actor, dressed in white. And he's like, oh, hey, I'm here to help you. What? And at first, he shoots Sebastian Cabot. He's like, oh, you can't shoot me. Like, what, are you my guardian angel? Well, and so he brings him to this room. The room is decked out. It's like this amazing hotel with a suite with food, and there are girls. And he goes, anything you want, you just ask for it. Great.
His name, by the way, is Mr. Pip.
Mr. Pip. That's correct. Yeah. And he's asking for all these things, and anything he wants, he gets. And he's like, wow, I must be in heaven then, right? Oh, okay. But then he starts to find out that everything, he loves to gamble. But every time he gambles, he just wins.
He just wins, yeah.
So that's boring.
And the women just fawn over to the point where it's just obnoxious.
He doesn't have to work for it.
It's too easy.
He
It's
doesn't have to
annoying.
work anymore for it.
He goes, I don't know. I thought heaven would be a lot more fun. And he goes, heaven? This isn't heaven. This is hell. Which, at the age that I saw this for the first time, I thought to myself, well, if you're going to go to hell,
it doesn't sound that bad, actually.
I might as well have some good food and chicks,
well,
right?
I thought there was a big moral there, and I learned from that.
All right, we're two different upbringings.
We come from two different sides of the street, my friend.
But those are two great satanic Twilight Zone episodes that are absolutely worth uncovering and enjoying in their gloriousness. Anyone else?
Well, I just wanted to say one neat thing about the devil. There was a neat devil from television that I thought that was really great. Maybe you guys remember, it was one episode on Fantasy Island. Oh, and wow. Mr. O'Rourke, who's played beautifully by Ricardo Montalban. You know who he is, right? Ricardo Montalban. Did you see Star Trek Wrath of Khan?
Sure didn't.
Oh, God.
You're not dealing with a Trekkie here. I apologize.
That's
if you want my dad to come on.
No. That's all right. That's all right. For our listeners
call
out
your
there,
dad.
Call your dad.
Is he a model?
There's this TV show called Fantasy Island where people go to this island. It's like a Hawaiian-type island, but they go to live out these fantasies. And in this one particular episode, Mr. Rourke actually has a battle with the devil. And the devil is played by Roddy McDowall.
Oh,
and
perfect.
Roddy McDowall, who played Cornelius in Planet of the Apes. Jessa, do you know... Yeah, okay, it's all okay.
Sorry.
This is
Do you know who the devil is?
Yeah, this is like the later seasons. And Roddy McDowall is just terrific as the devil. And I don't know if I want to give away the ending because it's great. It had to do with he was going to take all these souls if Mr. Rourke couldn't answer this thing correctly. And so the devil thinks he's got Mr. Rourke, but Mr. Rourke has something up his sleeve. So I'm just saying it's a great... And Roddy McDowall plays a great devil in it.
Well...
And
if you're going to bring up TV,
well, you just brought up Twilight Zone.
but if you're going to bring up sort of more mainstream, lighthearted TV, then I have to bring up the show Happy Days.
Oh.
You know Happy Days?
Yes.
Yeah.
Fonzie, Richie, and the gang?
Bastion of
Whatever
satanic
happened to that
sin-
Richie?
Did he ever go on to do anything?
I don't think so. So there's an episode
Ron Howard
called Chachi Sells His Soul. Yes. Scott Baio.
That's amazing.
Scott Baio? You know
Yes,
Scott
of
Baio?
course,
He goes to the mansion all the time, doesn't he?
Post jumping the shark.
Yeah,
by
this
the way,
is
this
the
show.
sart has jumped,
Yeah.
hit a wall,
Yeah, and
and
Wasn't that the
slid
title
bloodily down the side of it.
Wasn't that the title of Scott Baio's autobiography?
Social commentary.
Oh.
But yeah, through a series of events on Happy Days, Chachi accidentally sells his soul to the devil, and Fonzie has to come in, and
of course,
there's a battle of wits.
Battle of Wits,
with
yes.
Fonzie,
Yes.
and he eventually saves Chachi, and then everything's
and the
great.
world.
By riding his motorcycle over the Grand Canyon.
Right, yeah.
Fonzie was just awesome, man.
Yeah, no,
he was just awesome.
But then Scott Baio went on to do all those other things, and so maybe the devil should have taken him. I'm just saying.
Well,
Maybe the devil did.
we could go on and on and on with our satanic cinema.
Jessa, do you have any to add?
I mean, if we're going to go out with a bang, we have to bring up the little fucker to my left.
Matt,
I'm not talking about
Weinhold?
Matt. I'm not talking about Matt.
You know what? I would have been so honest.
If we're going to close it out, it has to be with the one movie that I still can't watch to date. I still can't bring myself to
I'm
it.
not sure. What is that?
That is Child's Play.
Chucky.
And you know what's weird is looking back on it, even, and again, tell me the actor's name, the voice.
Brad Dourif.
Brad Dourif.
Okay. When he's doing in the toy store, possessing, I didn't like him as him.
Right.
Sure.
It's the doll, it's the kid getting close to it and having the bond and it basically being betrayed by, Chucky trying to kill him and his family. It was kind of a vulnerable thing with the mom, the kid's best friend. There's a lot going on, but that movie, out of all of the horror movies and any movie that you guys give me, I'm going to go home and watch. I've seen it many times as a child, and I still, as an adult, can't watch that movie.
And it's great. And it is a kind of a satanic ritual that he does.
Absolutely,
to
it is,
transfer
yeah.
his soul. Mm-hmm. We had Tom Holland, the director of the movie, on our podcast, and he talked about when he was trying to write that screenplay, he couldn't quite get it. It was just a killer doll premise, and it wasn't quite working. It wasn't until he figured out the character of Charles Lee Ray, played by Brad Dourif, the idea that it's a guy's soul in the doll, and that's what kind of made the whole concept, the hook of the story work. So, but yeah, you're right. That was kind of like it's possession the other way around. It's like a human possessing an inanimate object, instead of a demon possessing a human body.
Did you have dolls when you were a kid? Did you have like big dolls like that you played with or anything like that?
You know what's weird is I was telling you guys earlier before the show, I had more like G.I. Joe or more like a Hot Wheels. I do remember as a child when I would stay at my grandmother's or stay at a cousin's house and there were dolls in the room and I was sleeping over, I had to bring all of the dolls into the bed because if I left one out, it would be it would come to life and kill me.
It would be angry.
And that's something I feel like I'm not the only person, especially as a little girl, you would sit there and look and be like, oh, I see that doll on the shelf and I'm in, with my favorite dolls and they know it's my favorite doll. I'm just going to be nice today and go bring this one into my bed so it doesn't kill me.
But you thought it would kill you?
It's just
Didn't you think that your other dolls would protect you from the other from the dolls in the bed?
You had a whole narrative.
Yeah,
I love the fact that your dolls had clicks.
I had my favorites, and then it's like the redheaded stepchild. You're just like, no, you have to like that one time, especially after seeing scary movies and movies like that, where I'm going to bring them all in. And I remember for like a week straight after seeing one of these scary movies, I would sleep with every single one. Bed full of stuffed animals. So that's something that still messes with
Keep
me.
your enemies close.
I love you, little snuggles. I do. And I can sleep with both sides closed.
Well, there's so many other devil type films.
Let's do a last roundup.
Last roundup. Go ahead. I know.
Anybody?
Yeah, Sean.
Sure,
I think I know what you're going to say.
Well, one of my favorites, again, coming off of the popularity of The Exorcist, everybody was making an Exorcist type movie, including even the blaxploitation genre. You had Blackula, you had Blackenstein, but one of my favorite devil possession movies is Abby. Abby is kind of like this. Is a blaxploitation exorcist, but in this one, like she's possessed and she's like really sexually voracious. It goes through the whole kind of exorcist routine, but with like the African American slant. And best of all, Blackula himself, William Marshall.
William Marshall's in it?
Is the exorcist.
Yeah? No,
and it's great because the entire exorcism takes place like under a disco ball in like a nightclub, and it's great. It's got all the foul mouth,
What's the date on that, Sean?
Because Abby was like it was made right away. It was 1974.
Okay,
so it was made the year after.
I don't know
Exorcist.
that one.
So
I don't know that one.
They rushed it into production, but it's a fun movie though. Kind of hard to see now. I don't think it's ever been officially released on DVD. But
no, it has. I actually have it.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I don't have it.
It's a fun one.
Well, I was just going to throw out Curse of the Demon.
Oh yeah, which we talked about.
We have talked about it before, but it's a great classic 50s film with Dan Andrews in it. Gosh, get Demon Booze's gang.
Jacques Tourneur?
Yeah, yes, I'm recommending it.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's basically Dana Andrews is like the skeptic who's trying to disprove this kind of cult worshiper, but the cult worshiper, gets one up on him by sending a demonic presence after him.
Well, thanks, Sean, for taking care of that for me. I think I'm about ready to crash. James, what about you?
I got two, so bear with me.
Two.
One of them is I'm a big fan of South Park. They Satan is Satan is a returning character.
That's great.
Recurring character. Actually, on the Evil Kids episode, I failed to bring up Cartman, who's like the classic evil kid. But
true.
But actually, Satan doesn't even appear in the episode I want to mention, which is Woodland Critter Christmas, where there's these cute little woodland critters, but and it's a Christmas episode, but instead of giving birth to a savior, they give birth to basically Rosemary's Baby. And it's got some truly disturbing shit in it. But then Santa comes and blows everybody away and saves the day. The other thing I wanted to mention was sequels to Rosemary's Baby. There was a TV movie called Look What's Happened to Rosemary's Baby, which is...
Are you serious?
Which is
Look What's Happened to Rosemary's Baby. She grew up to be a responsible citizen.
Look what happened to her.
Sean, actually,
I haven't seen it. Have you seen it, Sean?
Yes, Ruth Gordon actually reprises her role.
Are you kidding?
Her Oscar-winning role.
I have not seen
and
this.
As a woman asleep in her porridge.
Isn't like Ginger from Gilligan's Island?
Tina Louise is in it. It's a very strange. It doesn't really
You're
work.
not recommending
Patty
this?
Duke. Patty Duke Aston plays the Mia Farrow role.
Right.
No,
and Ray
Duke?
Milan plays the Sidney Blackmere role.
Well, he needed money.
But Ira Levin himself wrote a sequel in 1997 called Son of Rosemary, which I read. And it's really interesting. I won't give anything away, but if you're a fan of the original movie and maybe the original book, then pick up Son of Rosemary because it's just kind of fun.
And wasn't there another one called What's Up Anyway with Rosemary's Baby?
What's happening with Rosemary's Baby?
Okay, you're joking.
What the hell?
Rerun.
You're joking.
What the hell's going on with Rosemary's Baby?
All right.
I'm going to run through a couple here. So there's a big favorite of mine from 1946 called Angel on My Shoulder with Paul Muni and Claude Rains, who plays the devil. And Paul Muni is this gangster. Once again, he's a gangster. He's a badass gangster. Gets killed, goes to hell. The scenes of hell are horrific and beautiful and terrifying. And this is kind of a lighthearted movie. But he's such a badass. He's like, fuck this place. I'm breaking out. And he starts running through hell and knocking over things and runs through the devil's office and climbs up on a table. And Claude Rains is there like, ooh, who's this boy? He's got promise. And so he goes, look, I'll tell you what. There's this judge who is a real moral guy, and you look exactly like him. Tell you what, you take over his body, and then if you do all the stuff that I want you to do, I forget if he either gets out or he'll make him, a top lieutenant or whatever.
Right.
But now, of course, there's a beautiful girl played by Ann Baxter, and he kind of falls for Ann Baxter, and then, things get adorable. But that's a great.
Recommend that
it's a really great movie, and like anybody who knows movies, I'm telling you, this is a movie that has heart. It's also really scary, and again, the scenes of hell are truly horrific. Highly recommended. I would also recommend The Devil Rides Out, otherwise known as The Devil's Bride.
Classic Hammer
film based on the novel of the same name by Dennis Wheatley, starring Christopher Lee. It's a battle against black magic.
It's Charles Gray as Mokata.
Yeah, who is this sort of cult priest
leader,
who makes everyone's life horrible.
I got to see that one.
That's really good.
great.
I would also recommend the comic book character Hot Stuff.
Oh, you're talking about Casper the Friendly
Yes,
Ghost.
Casper the Friendly Ghost.
I was wondering when you're gonna-
Casper the Friendly Ghost had a friend. He had Wendy the Good Witch.
Yeah.
And then he also had this friend called Hot Stuff.
Like a little demon from hell.
A little demon from hell who wore diapers and had horns and a
and a little
pitchfork.
pitchfork.
Just so you know, Casper the Friendly Ghost,
Sure
right?
do.
Right.
All right.
And
He caused mischief.
he caused mischief by possessing and causing wars and making. But he was
Disease.
adorable. He was so adorable. And
man.
where's that movie?
Yeah.
I was 4 years old, and my parents gave me a dime to go buy a loaf of bread from the corner store, and I went and bought a Hot Stuff comic instead.
Oh, you
That was the first
were
time I remember
seduced
getting.
by Satan.
First time I got spanked.
Wow, because you bought a devil comic?
Well, because I
Wow.
didn't
You
buy
know
bread.
what?
Let's
That
put it
explains a lot.
Yeah.
doesn't it?
and again, we'll wrap this up too, but
Yeah.
now we're on comics a little bit. So there was a bunch of Marvel characters that were satanic characters, and it's funny
Yeah.
because they made them good guys. And one of the ones that I used to read as a kid was called The Son of Satan. And it was Damon Hellstrom, who was the son of Satan, and he was this guy who had like a pentagram on his chest.
Yeah.
He didn't wear a shirt, and he wore a cape, and he was, he was like, "Fuck you, Dad! I'm going to fight for good."
That's
and
awesome.
And he had a sister named Satana who was like, "Nah, I think I want to be evil." And so you brothers and sisters,
Yeah.
Oh, they fight.
yeah, you know how they fight. But those were really great. And I also recommend DC's The Demon, a Jack Kirby character, the rhyming demon Etrigan, who's been in comics forever. Check him out. And also, if you like Japanese stuff, Devilman.
Oh, yeah.
Go Nagai, the famous manga artist. This is one of his most famous creations. This is a character that they've done live action movies of. They've done anime, they've done manga, and he's this guy he's one of the demon clan who is part of the forces that are going to take over the earth. But then he meets a girl, and you know how it is. You know how things get.
And I'm sorry, we can't not mention Hellboy as we're talking.
Hellboy, yes.
At least just by
We're going to do a whole show on Hellboy.
Yeah, we'll save that for
But there's so many
There's
movies.
so many. Jessa, hopefully we've educated you. You have a bunch of other Satan films to check out.
I do.
Yeah.
I have a lot. I have a
Yeah.
list. And then I have a few that I'm not going to see. Regardless of this podcast.
Aside from that, is there anything you'd like to say to Larry right now?
No. I know. I just want to say thank you so much for being with
Yeah.
us.
No, thank
I
you.
know
Yeah, this has been great.
you are one busy person. You've got so many things
just,
going on.
is there
Can you
anything
tell
to-
us anything that
anything you want to plug?
Yeah.
Anything Goes with Jessa Hinton on Podcast One.
I love that podcast.
Do you?
Yes, I do.
Is it because you've been on it and it
Yes.
did very
Yes.
well?
Yes.
We were on
we were
it,
definitely
yes.
your guest. We loved being a guest on
It
your
was a
show.
great
It
show.
really
a
was,
lot of
though.
fun.
And
It was
it's
great.
nice to be on a podcast where it just flows, and next thing you know, it's like an hour and a half goes by, and you're like, wow, where'd
We
the
still
time
have
go?
more to talk about,
Yeah.
too.
No, it was
Sure.
great.
Yeah,
It was
totally.
great.
No, you're great.
Good. I'm glad. And as far as right now, that's all I really care about is my podcast. So we're doing well.
Oh, we know that
Yeah.
feeling. Yeah.
Let's do a listener shout out.
Shout out,
For this episode, it goes out to Dinosaur Jesus,
Dinosaur Jesus.
who is a Twitter follower, and the only thing we know about him is that he's a podcast fan because he's got no other personal information.
And we're giving him a shout out.
Maybe he's Satan.
No, he's
Under
not.
the name of Dinosaur.
No, it's Dinosaur Jesus.
Yeah. And so we're going to send him a cap, and how we're going to
Do
get
we
it
know
to
how
him?
we
We're
get-
going to leave it in a post office box.
He sent us some messages that shows that he is a loyal listener. After our best and worst sci-fi villains episode, he wrote, "You guys forgot to mention the greatest sci-fi villain of all time, George Lucas after 1983.
Well, you know what? We're going to do a George Lucas show
He also-
eventually.
I love him.
After our Saturday morning episode, he asked, "How many lunchboxes does Larry have to buy so one is still in the package?" Which is a conundrum.
That's a philosophical question.
Yes, indeed.
Well, I have to let him know that not all lunchboxes came wrapped in cellophane. They were loose, just to let you know.
There's just one of those eternal questions. But Dinosaur Jesus, we
All right.
appreciate your listening.
Yeah, we're going to
Dinosaur.
get you a
do.
cap.
Yeah.
And also, let's remind everybody that we are on Twitter at Monster Party HQ and on Facebook and YouTube at Monster Party TV. If you're listening on iTunes, please take a moment and write a review. We'd love to hear from you.
And you've been listening to Monster Party, a presentation of the Fangoria Podcast Network. It's produced by Thomas DeFeo and Matt Weinhold, and executive produced by Ken Hanley of Fangoria Entertainment. And for press opportunities, advertising inquiries, and information about Monster Party, contact ken@fangoria.com.
On that note, I am Matt Weinhold.
And I am Shawn Sheridan.
I'm Larry Stroth.
And I'm James GONIS.
Keep America strong.
Watch Satanic Cinema. Insert pea soup here. Now, if we're going to do devil movies, anything that has to do with the devil, I think at some point we have to go back to the silent era.
Ooh.
And one of my favorite of that era is Faust from 1926.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Classic
Our
devil
old
film.
pal
that's
F.W.
right.
Murnau. Always delivering the goods.
Nosferatu.
Yeah. Who brought us Nosferatu.
Totally.
And this movie is so great. It really is just the classic story of Faust.
Yeah.
And we all know it, the Goethe story where and at least in the movie, he's an alchemist who sells his soul to the devil so he can experience all the worldly pleasures that the earth has to offer. And there are a lot of them, believe me.
Isn't it kind of like God and the devil do a wager to see if they can tempt his soul?
That's Job.
Yeah.
That's more of the Job thing. This is
okay.
really just Satan coming in.
But just because it's a silent film, I don't want people to think that this is like a cheap thing. This was a big budget thing back then,
Now,
Matt.
here's the thing, too, is that now, like, even if you're one of those people that's like, silent films, I don't really get into them. This movie had me hooked from the very first image, and then it takes off from there. Yeah. Like, the first thing that you see is the four horsemen of the apocalypse just riding through the sky.
Famous scene. It's a famous scene.
Yeah.
Really elaborate.
Yeah. And very effective, scary, weird, and the set design, the production of the whole film is lavish.
Yeah.
It really is an epic spectacle that does a lot with special effects.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
totally.
the special effects in this movie, and there are certain things that are done that are so simple. For example, there is a town where the Black Plague comes, and how they show the Black Plague coming is they've got this miniature town, and then Satan, played by Emil Jannings, who was in The Last Laugh, famous Murnau film. But he plays Mephisto, the devil, and he wraps his wings around this little miniature town, and then you see like smoke come in, and that's the Black Plague.
You know, Matt, it's so long as I've seen. I saw it back in the 80s.
And there are so many great little images, like the devil is kind of taunting Faust as he's made this deal, or he's getting ready to tempt him with the deal. Yeah. And you keep seeing the devil on the road, and he's just this little impish figure with these glowing eyes. It's like smiling. And it's a great movie. The rest of the movie is fantastic, where you kind of see the arc of how Faust begins to regret the deal that he made. Yeah. But really, just for this production, how
it's
lush
epic.
And gorgeous.
It's epic, though, isn't it?
Yeah, and big budget for.
And Matt, I don't remember the music because people know. We talked about this, that silent films weren't really silent. There's always music playing. Did you see it with a? Does it have some kind of a soundtrack?
The one that I have on my DVD is a really great symphonic kind of Wagnerian, very pounding classical music. Really effective. Really helps the film. And I'm telling you, it's one of the films that I don't think, when a lot of people think of early silent horror, they don't think of that movie.
No, I think they think of Nosferatu. Yeah. I mean, that is kind of like one of the most famous ones.
And it's little known.
Between Murnau, Dreyer, and the guy who did Caligari, like the Germans sort of cornered the market on silent horror back in the day.
Well, the Germans kind of cornered the market on horror, period.
Right.
I mean,
until
it's Germany.
Well, until the 30s, and then you get into Universal Studios and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, and a lot of those same German directors went over to Universal.
True.
But there was a Swedish production in the 1920s also that made a very kind of iconic demonic devil movie. It was actually kind of like a kind of faux documentary from 1922 called Haxan.
Wow.
Witchcraft Through the Ages.
I know that one.
I don't know this one,
awesome.
Sean.
It's like basically it's kind of like
Done as a documentary,
it's done
right?
as a documentary, but it's all with recreations of like how the witches in Salem would sell their souls to the devil and how the devil would tempt people, and it's all done with these elaborate recreations, and it's your classic devil with like the horns and the tongue, and it's really well done. It's very, very elaborate, very risque for the time too.
Right. It's 1922.
1922.
And what's it called again?
Haxan, which I think is Swedish for witch. It's also known just as Witchcraft Through the Ages.
Well, Matt, speaking of Faust, one movie that riffed on that was Phantom of the Paradise. Where Brian De Palma's from
totally.
74,
Oh, yeah.
Where Paul Williams played the Mephistophelian figure of Swan, as music impresario, who steals the music of Winslow Leach, this gifted songwriter.
Winslow.
And it's just we'll talk probably more in depth about this movie. It's one of my favorite
on our Phantom of the Paradise show.
Because
I know
horror musical.
This is one of because I know
we'll do a show on horror.
This is one of your favorite movies.
It's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Me too.
I adore it. It's marvelous. But speaking of Faust, it does go into that.
It's the Faust story,
It is,
but
yeah.
it's the rock opera version of it.
Right.
And do you like this movie,
in the
Larry?
70s. Yeah, maybe not as much as you guys, but
love
yeah.
Really?
That's great.
The songs are so great. That movie is so ahead of its time in many ways.
So many ways.
The fact that it kind of invents Kiss.
Yeah.
There's a band.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yes.
You're right.
Kiss.
Well,
I mean,
True.
Kiss actually was, we don't want to have to get technical.
I'm not
here,
going to get into
but
the
yeah.
legal aspects of which came first.
No, let's get into the legal aspects.
But it's great. I mean, the music has so many different styles. It goes from 50s rock to surf to heavy metal.
Right.
It's just a great movie. But also the fact that now Paul Williams, who did the music,
Yeah.
and also plays Swan, who now a lot of people have said he's the devil, but he's not really the devil.
No.
He is a guy who has sold his soul to the devil,
Right.
and he's the devil's agent on
Yeah.
Earth.
He's really more of a Dorian Gray character.
Right.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and he never ages because he signed this deal, and so he steals. It's like Phantom of the Opera in the sense that he steals Winslow Leach's music, turns it into this abomination to Winslow.
Right.
That it's now completely different than what he had intended. It's rock, it's surf, it's all this kind of stuff.
And De Palma borrows all
Yeah.
these story elements, like he often does in his movies, and then sort of creates this melange in this one movie. But it just works. It works more than any other.
It's really great.
movie
It's
thing.
funny. The music's great. It's it's scary at times.
Yeah.
And
tragic and sad.
tragic and
romantic,
sad.
And it just works on every beat for me.
yeah, lots of memorable lines.
It's got Jessica Harper in it.
And Jessica Harper doing one of the greatest dances in all of film history.
And Garrett Graham.
Garrett Graham
as
as Beef, the lead singer of this heavy metal band, who, if you see one thing this year, see that movie and watch for Garrett Graham.
Or you can just wait for us to do our horror musical episode, which I'm sure we will go through it in more detail.
But again, on the subject of the different musical genres, it parodied all these different genres before they ever parodied themselves. Nobody else was doing it.
That's
back
true.
then.
That's true.
So it was ahead of its time.
Well, also, if we're talking devil films, it was interesting in the 90s. There's kind of like a little almost resurgence of devil movies, and a lot of them were with big stars.
Oh, that's right.
If you remember, The Devil's Advocate.
with
1997 with Keanu Reeves again, and
Al Pacino.
Al Pacino as the devil, as a lawyer who's the devil who
With
tries to
those
tempt.
teeth.
The story
Yes.
is the
Teeth.
devil shows up to Keanu Reeves
Yeah.
and gives him a
Right.
career.
Pretty much. But I
No,
mean,
that's true.
I'm telling you, I don't make this shit up.
But the
No,
movie
Sean,
is,
what is it?
The
Sean,
movie
what
is pretty fun. He's trying to steal Keanu Reeves' soul. I think you find out though then that Keanu Reeves is actually his son, and then so he has to kind of lead him to the path of darkness to take over the world. But it's great because in the movie everybody's kind of acting normally, but Al Pacino is on a different level. through
Yeah,
the whole
he's over the
movie.
top,
It's fitting though for the role. I mean, he plays Satan and he's great.
And he loves showing the teeth, which
Yes.
aren't his.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly they're not his.
So there's that movie, but then just like a year later, there's another movie called Fallen with Denzel Washington as this guy who's following Satan, who's like he's possessing people.
I don't know that one.
from person to person, but just by touch, like you shake somebody's hand, and you're transferring the devil into them. It's like that's another.
I don't know that one.
Yeah, that was like another satanic.
Is that one you recommend?
Yeah, it wasn't bad if I remember. I haven't seen it in a while, but it was just the fact that like you had, I mean, Denzel Washington was in it, and then you had,
Must
of course,
be good.
then you had
Washington.
then you had
he is Academy Award
a year later after that, 1999. Who could forget End of Days?
Is that Arnold?
With Arnold Schwarzenegger versus Satan, which was this big, stupid, dumb action movie, but it's also like a horror devil movie, which is ridiculous, but also kind of fun.
Don't you think he was miscast?
Yeah, a little
Well,
bit.
I mean, let me just say that the devil and Max Devlin was scarier in that movie.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
Bill Cosby.
The Disney Satan movie.
Oh my
Right.
God,
With
Matt.
Elliot Gould and Bill Cosby.
Oh my
That's
God,
right.
Matt.
Oh my
And
God.
this is the
How
story
appropriate
goes
now.
Yeah, exactly.
God.
As the story goes, Elliot Gould is invited to Satan's room for drinks. Hours later, he wakes up naked.
Yeah. Oh.
Okay, we also, if we're talking about like memorable incarnations of
Yes.
Satan,
the devil.
maybe the greatest, most profound battle between good and evil ever committed to film.
Uh-huh.
Maybe.
Okay, this is
was-
big, buddy.
Was the 1959 production of the Mexican film Santa Claus.
Yes.
Oh
It's
my
all
God.
coming back to me.
This was like it was one of those strange. It was like a Mexican import that I think K. Gordon Murray, who had made all the Mexican horror films, he took them and dubbed them awkwardly and released them in theaters.
We saw this at your house.
We had like a Christmas Christmas party, but yeah, it's basically just like Santa lives like in space or something.
Of course he does.
And he has like all these slave children from all the different like countries, and they like work for him.
It seems like they're slave children.
Yeah, and he has this weird telescope. He looks down
To the children,
on-
it seems like they're slave children.
yeah, and he just like basically is like the devil is like this character named Pitch.
Yeah.
And he's this mischievous little guy who's trying to stop Christmas or whatever,
Yeah.
and it's just a battle between Santa Claus and the devil.
And he looks
It's
like the
amazing.
devil.
Yeah, it's your classic guy in tights,
Horns.
with the horns, and
And
it's
What's
so
with Satan in
bizarre.
tights?
And you know what,
Yeah.
Sean, one of the moments in that movie that I absolutely love, because I totally flipped out, is because it was made in the 50s, they had a bunch of I say antique, but at the time they weren't, but they had all these robots, toy metal
right,
robots
in
from
like the
Japan.
toy shop that
and
they were-
I
the
like,
toy factory.
when I saw this, my head exploded. I went, oh my God, look at all the robots. And it was really great. And,
Yeah.
it was kids.
Yeah, the
playing
movie's
robots.
it's one of those like
Great
surreal,
movie.
bizarre, ridiculous movies, but it's kind of fun to watch, late at night.
If you-
while you're like hopped up on
having a party.
eggnog, and
You're having a part.
Yeah.
Look, you have it on in the background while you have a party going on.
No,
I
you
don't know.
watch it on Blu-ray.
Okay.
No, you watch it
on
on
giant
Blu-ray,
No.
big screen,
All
and then
right.
anytime anyone tries to talk, you go, shh,
Yeah, exactly.
Satan is talking.
Because you're hanging on every subtitled word.
Look,
That's right.
okay, so listeners, I'm not going to put this film up in the same category as The Exorcist, but
There's The
it's a
Exorcist
fun.
and there's Santa Claus.
Yeah,
There's
it's
the
a
only
fun
two, if there's
film.
two devil possession movies you should watch, it's those two.
Yeah,
Right, double feature.
Now, when we talk about devil comedies,
devil comedies.
the one that comes to mind first
Yeah.
is 1967's Bedazzled.
Oh my God!
British
that
comedy.
Oh man, I forgot
Stanley
about that.
Donen.
Great.
It is so funny. Written by Peter Cook and Dudley Moore.
Dudley Moore. Yeah, he's
And-
terrific
Yeah,
in that.
and it really is, I think, their finest film work.
oh
Yeah, I agree.
Really funny. Again, another Faust story.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Totally.
And
Really, really
yeah,
funny.
Peter, it's set in swinging London,
Yeah.
and Dudley Moore is this little cook who works at Wimpy's,
Yeah.
and he loves this waitress,
Right.
played by Eleanor Braun, and all of a sudden he gets visited by the devil, who is Peter Cook, otherwise known as Mr. Spigot.
Yeah, but he's not the devil that you would expect.
No,
Devil, you
no.
know.
He's Peter Cook.
He's
Yeah,
Peter
he's
Cook.
Peter Cook, yeah.
And he's really kind of likable.
he
And-
is.
Yeah, and there's this thing about him where he's like, look, I'm compelled to do these bad things, but I don't really want to. I'm not that bad. I used to be God's favorite.
Right.
And very funny. And so what happens is that for his immortal soul, he'll give him, I believe it was 7 wishes. And what happens is each wish that is granted, something goes wrong. There's always like a technicality.
But he's always trying to get the girl, so he's always putting in different scenarios.
Yeah.
He's trying
Every
to
wish
win
is
over the
somehow
girl.
to get the girl. Like
Right.
with one, he wishes he could communicate better.
Yeah.
And so now he can communicate like an intellectual, but it still doesn't make him any more desirable to the that scene ends with her just screaming, rape! So it
Like
keeps...
Cook always one-ups him somehow.
Always one-ups him.
You know.
And he even apologized for it. He's look, that's by my nature, I can't help but I have to try to do this. I have to try to outwit you. And the film is also noted for having a great cameo because he has this group of people that work for him, and they're all the 7 deadly sins. And my favorite sin, lust, is played by Raquel Welch at her hottest.
The perfect personification.
Oh my! And she is just so yummy, and she tempts him, but then she takes off, and it's funny, and it's actually kind of heartwarming. And Satan and Stanley become pretty good friends.
Right. I love the scene though, like where he's just Peter Cook is just nonchalantly taking records, vinyl records, and scratching them and putting them back in their packaging and putting them in the
yeah, right. And Dudley Moore's like, that's just so petty. It's just like, that's what I got to do. And one of my favorite scenes, there's a scene where Stanley is kind of asking, why are you like this? Why did you become the devil? And he goes, okay, I'm going to pretend I'm God. You pretend you're me. And he sits up on this mailbox and he goes, now I want you to worship me. I want you to say all these things that are nice about me and compliment me. And so he's like, oh, you're great. You're wonderful. The trees, that was a good thing. Oceans, really swell. Oh, man, I'm getting tired. Can we trade places? See, that's what I said.
Yeah, that's great. It is a great
Such a great movie.
And quintessential 60s comedy.
Yeah, very
too.
swinging 60s. And by no means see the remake, see the original.
Oh, God, yeah.
And speaking of demonic comedies, this is a far, far lesser one, but I did actually sort of like it, and that's Little Nicky with Adam Sandler.
I can't believe you brought that up.
Okay,
Are you serious?
I don't remember much about it.
Wait, you're
you
recommending
loved
it? You don't remember it?
All I'm saying is I didn't hate it because I remember walking out of there thinking, okay, Adam Sandler played this really annoying, whiny son of Satan.
Well, that's different.
But the humor...
Annoying and whiny?
Yeah, but see, the humor was at his expense. You weren't really expected to like him. And Harvey Keitel as his dad, Satan, was funny. I remember genuinely laughing at him. So, I don't know. There were things about it that I liked. So, yeah, I would give that a pass.
And a pass like do not see it. Is that what you're saying?
Okay.
Because I would say to our listeners, do not see that.
I would say
know.
judge for yourselves, and maybe it's worth revisiting.
Sean,
Larry.
we have so many other we have so many other films that I would rather have people see.
Like any other film but that.